subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Thought for a while, and took an apple and put in her pocket. On the 8th floor, in front of the double-headed stone beast. Lemon sorbet. As the password sounded, the two-headed stone beast immediately moved aside. Lucas walked up the stairs. As soon as he entered the principal's office, an old voice came from his ear. "You are welcome, Mr. Grindelwald." Immediately afterwards, Dumbledore's figure appeared not far away. His eyes hidden behind the glasses were fixed on the boy who was walking towards him. 027. Psychological game. Greetings from an old friend, Albus Dumbledore, the greatest white wizard of the century. At this moment, the other party looked like an amiable old man. Wearing a large wizard robe, the end of the long gray beard is specially tied with a bow. "Mr. Grindelwald, I have been waiting for you for a long time. It's an honor to meet you, Headmaster Dumbledore." While speaking, Lucas stepped into the principal's room. The first thing that catches the eye is the books on the surrounding walls. On the left side of the office is a large desk. There are a variety of documents and books on the table. It looked like Dumbledore wasn't usually having an easy time. Beside the desk stands a sycamore tree. A turkey is dozing on it. Lucas, who has Oriental blood in his bones, never admits that this ugly creature is a phoenix. He sensed Lucas' breath. Fawkes opened his eyes and let out a cry. This surprised Dumbledore beside him. Fawkes, but never take the initiative to get close to people. He does not know. This is all because of the affinity exuded by the elf blood. Fawkes couldn't help but want to get closer. "Fawkes hasn't been this happy for a long time. It seems that I should find you sooner." Dumbledore led Lucas to the round table and gestured for him to sit down. Lucas glanced at Fawkes's blown feathers. Once again, the old bee's ability to open his eyes and tell lies was verified. "Mr. Principal, I wonder why you were looking for me." "Nothing. Just wanted to talk to you, Lucas. Can I call you that?" "Of course, my pleasure." Dumbledore smiled happily and wrinkled all over his face. "Lucas, what a good name. It means light." Dumbledore took a box of treats from his pocket. "BB multi-flavored beans. Would you like some?" "No, thanks." Lucas didn't want to try outlandish food. Dumbledore ate one himself. From his frowning, one could tell that the bean must not taste good. "Wow, this is the worst bean I've ever had. Lucas, how is life here?" "It's not bad. The climate is pleasant, the scenery is good, and the most important thing is that you can make friends." "Yes, friend. We humans need friends so much. Can you tell me the names of your friends?" "Certainly." Lucas directly said the names of Harry and the others. The whole time, Dumbledore seemed to be listening. Even hearing Harry Potter's name, there was no change in his expression either. "Wait until Lucas finishes speaking." Dumbledore said with emotion, "What an enviable friendship. Professor, do you have so many friends like me?" "Of course, I have many friends, very many, and they often send me some small gifts." "That's great," Lucas said enviously. "Then don't wait for the other person to speak." Then he said, "My father is about your age. He lives alone in a high tower. Even if I go to see him, I can only stay for a short time." Dumbledore's hand, holding the teacup, trembled slightly. Immediately afterwards, I heard Lucas say again, "He often stands at the window and looks towards the northwest direction." I asked him what he was doing, and he said that there is very good friends there. "Really? Then what else did your father say?" Lucas didn't answer right away. Instead, he took a sip of the black tea sent by the house elf. All the while, Dumbledore kept looking at him. A few seconds passed. Lucas just looked up at Dumbledore. He stared closely at the other's eyes with his blue eyes. "Before I came, my father just asked me to convey on his behalf that he is doing well. Don't read it." Tea spilled from the cup, but Dumbledore didn't seem to notice. He just looked at those blue eyes. Gradually, it overlaps with the appearance in memory. "Gale." Dumbledore was taken aback. Hastily put down the teacup in his hand. He said with a wry smile, "When I get older, I always like to recall the past." "Where did we talk just now?" "Oh yes, friend." Dumbledore waved his wand. The black tea spilled on the ground, disappeared immediately. Seeing Lucas staring at his wand, Dumbledore handed it to him. "Curious? You can take a closer look." facing the Elder Wand close at hand. Lucas only paused for a moment before looking away. No, I like my own wand better. I was just wondering why the professor's wand has such a strange shape. Well, the fact is that this wand is called the Elder Wand, and it's very powerful. Dumbledore stared Lucas in the eyes and said this. Seeing Lucas' eyes were unwavering. Only then did he shift his gaze to the candies on the table. Speaking of friends, I thought I heard you mention Harry just now. See Lucas nod. Dumbledore said worriedly, that kid Harry had a bad childhood. Thank you for being willing to be friends with him. I heard that you met on the Hogwarts Express. Can you tell me about how you met? I want to know more about Harry. Coming. The two clashed several times, and Dumbledore finally got to the point. Lucas smiled slightly, looked at the other party, and replied, Of course, it's my honor to help Mr. Principal. 028. 2 questions from Dumbledore tie. So, you have met in Diagon Alley? Seeing Lucas nod, Dumbledore sighed. Fate is always so ingenious. It seems that you and Harry are destined. I think so too, sir. The two took a sip of black tea at the same time. It was still Dumbledore who spoke first. And after that, what did you talk about? Before I answer your question, let me ask you a question, the principal. Watching Dumbledore interested, Lucas asked, Who do you think is the best of the 4 colleges? Lucas, I can give you a clear answer. The 4 colleges are not good or bad, and there is no priority. Back then, the Big Four jointly founded this magic school to protect young wizards. The branch is for more targeted teaching, so that young wizards can use their strengths. Dumbledore said his answer without hesitation. Lucas applauded lightly after listening. It seems that I was right. My answer to Harry was the same as yours. He repeated to Dumbledore what he had said about the video game on the train. Wait until Lucas finishes. Dumbledore gave him an appreciative look. What a clever metaphor. It seems that there are many interesting items in the Muggle world. I think I need to get into what you're talking about with video games, but I just don't know if it's too late. Lucas smiled and replied, Of course there is time. If you need, I can teach you how to play. As the topic progresses, the atmosphere between the two also became relaxed. Discuss video games for a few minutes. Dumbledore asked Lucas a second question. As far as I know, Hogwarts is not the only magic school that sent you an admission letter. Can you tell me why you chose this place? A weak and strange force followed the words and approached Lucas. The moment you notice it, Lucas' eyes became hollow. Hogwarts is the greatest wizarding school in history. Of course, I yearn for it. Dumbledore frowned slightly, seemingly dissatisfied with the answer. Lucas, I thought we were friends already. I want to hear the truth. Well, I think you have some understanding of my situation. Over the past few decades, most of my father's subordinates are old, but they're still loyal to my father for so many years and even raised me from a young age. So, in recent years, I have also used part of my father's property to start a business. It's not bad. At least I can support you, uncle and aunt. But the Ministry of Magic in Germany and France don't seem to trust us, and this time they forced all our shops to close. I can only come to England to make it possible for the elderly uncles and aunts to have a relaxed old age. Lucas looked at each other after he finished speaking. Dumbledore was silent for a long time before he said, So, it seems that your life is not easy. I didn't expect you to bear so much at such a young age. If there's a chance in the future, I will have a good talk with your father about this issue. Looking at Dumbledore, who was defending himself, Lucas didn't believe the other party's words in his heart. Certainly, Dumbledore might go to see his father. For so many years, he has always sent letters to Nurmengard. As for whether they met secretly, that's beyond Lucas' knowledge. It seems to be aware of not being able to learn more from Lucas. Dumbledore was about to see off the guest. It's getting late. I remember you have potions class in the afternoon. Severus has a bad temper. Don't be late. Thank you for your concern. Professor, may I visit your principal's office? Dumbledore froze for a moment. Certainly, the first floor of the office is almost the same. The second floor is where Dumbledore rests. Wait until Lucas has visited the principal's office. Sure enough, the sound of the system rang in my ears. Congratulations to the host for completing the exploration achievement. Dumbledore Principal's Office. Reward. 50 achievement points. Congratulations to the host for triggering a series of achievements. exploring Hogwarts. After completing this achievement, you can get a reward. 1 diamond lottery chance, 500 achievement points. Really, the headmaster's office can trigger a set of achievements. Lucas was secretly delighted, and after saying goodbye to Dumbledore, he walked towards the potions classroom. The principal's room. Dumbledore sat in a chair in a daze. On the wall beside him, the portraits of past principals are all watching him. Albus, what are you thinking? What do you think of that kid? The portraits looked at each other, and Finiac Boulake spoke first. Brilliant, shrewd, and an excellent Slytherin. The other portraits followed suit. Cunning. A mouth full of lies. The strength is not bad. It needs to be treated with caution. Dumbledore nodded, looking out the window. Occlumency is proficient, but legilimency is not so good. You are worthy of your successor, Gale. Principals, please notify the school's portrait and let them pay attention to the child. If there is anything strange, please notify me immediately. Several principals in the portrait responded. It disappeared into the portrait in a blink of an eye. Outside the potions classroom, Hermione paced back and forth. When you see Lucas coming this way, she greeted him immediately. Hermione? Do you need me? Can I find you? Here. Looking at the apple in his hand, Lucas looked at the other person puzzled. Don't get me wrong. I just saw that you didn't have much lunch at noon, and I just care about it as a friend. Seeing Hermione's uncomfortable look, Lucas immediately took a bite of the apple. This apple tastes really good. A smile appeared on Hermione's mouth upon hearing these words. Mr. Grindelwald, Miss Granger, do I need to remind you that it's time for class? A low voice was heard from the side. The two immediately looked sideways. What came into view was Professor Snape's gloomy face. Ch. 029. Severus Snape, the Snake King of Slytherin. Hermione looked like a frightened rabbit. Without waiting for Professor Snape to continue speaking, she ran away. Lucas looked at each other's back and chuckled. When he turned his head, Professor Snape was already standing in front of him. Mr. Lucas Grindelwald, the man of the school, do you feel very happy to hear other people's praise? But in my opinion, you are like a pheasant with phoenix tail feathers on its tail, stupid and arrogant. I very much doubt the Sorting Hat's decision that you should be sorted into Gryffindor, not Slytherin. Facing the venom sprayed by the Snake King, Lucas accepted with a smile the whole time. He didn't speak until the other party had finished speaking. Dean, but I don't think it's wrong to show my excellence to others. Look, didn't I attract a beautiful lady? I've been looking forward to this moment for a long time. In the youthful years, if there's a childhood sweetheart to accompany each other and spend the long 7 years of life together, it should be very beautiful, right? What do you think? Dean, Lucas especially emphasized the words childhood sweetheart. Sure enough, Snape's eyes changed. Certainly, the low air pressure around him also became more serious. I think your head stuffed with splendens should know that it's time for class. If you don't enter the classroom again, I will have to deduct points from my own college. Okay, Dean, I'm leaving now. Lucas turned and walked towards the classroom door. If you observe carefully, you can find it. He walked a lot faster than usual. The potions classroom is located in the basement of the castle. This is the darkest part of the castle. The already dim light is matched with the animal specimens placed along the wall, added a little horror color. The young wizards of the two colleges did not dare to breathe. All lowered their heads, not knowing what was written on the parchment. This is what Lucas saw when he entered the classroom. Watching Della sit next to Harry, he raised his eyebrows, and it seemed that the two of them got along pretty well. Although Mr. Weasley next to Harry had a straight face. But what does this have to do with Lucas? Saw Lucas coming. The little wizards of the two courtyards greeted him one after another. In the entire classroom, only Theodore not had a seat. Seeing this, Lucas walked over quickly. Theodore, can I sit here? Of course, Chief. It was not until he was seated that Lucas realized that the next table was Mr. Neville Longbottom. If he remembers correctly, in this class, Mr. Longbottom will create a moderate accident. Merlin's beard, how can I be so unlucky? Silently complained. Lucas pulled out his wand and placed it on the table in case he needed it. Boom! The classroom door was suddenly pushed open. Severus Snape walked in like a big black bat. He waved his wand, closed the windows on one side. The dimly lit classroom became even darker. Potions, a course in the exact science and exacting craft of potion preparation. Professor Snape's voice was a whisper, but can always be heard by every student in the classroom. He has a low voice, speaks unhurriedly, with a unique British accent, as if reciting a poem. Professor Snape looked at Lucas with empty eyes. Seeing the wand on the table, he said immediately, "Put away your wands. You won't be foolishly waving them here." Of course, I don't expect you to really understand the beauty of the slow-simmering cauldron emitting white smoke and fragrance. You don't really understand that liquid that flows into people's veins, that magical power that makes people's hearts sway and their minds bewildered. I can teach you how to raise your reputation, brew glory, and even prevent death. But first of all, you need to make sure you're not one of those dumbass idiots I often meet. Finished the opening remarks. Professor Snape picked up the student list. His eyes searched the list. He stopped immediately when he saw one of the names. Harry Potter, a famous figure. Potter, what do you get if you add daffodil root powder to a wormwood infusion? The sudden question caught Harry off guard. He hadn't had time to preview the potions book. Della wanted to help, but the two were separated by a passage. He can't be too blatant. As for Ron, forget it. He might not be as good as Harry. Sorry, sir, I don't know. Snape curled his lips in contempt, even let out a cold snort. Seeing this, Lucas mourned for Harry, if not for his conversation with Professor Snape. Perhaps Professor Snape would just sneer sarcastically. But now he is in a rage. The Slytherin King Snake was merciless in his venom. Head stuffed with achnatharum, idiots comparable to trolls, such words began to echo in the basement. He couldn't lift his head, seeing Harry being sprayed. Lucas could only silently wish him good luck in his heart. It feels like Lord Snake King won't be able to stop for a while. Lucas gradually began to focus on other things. As everyone knows, just when he was distracted, Professor Snape looked over. The attitude of the students of the two colleges towards Lucas just now. Snape could see it clearly from the door. With such affinity, it's no wonder Dumbledore made him look at him. But how dare Mr. Grindelwald dare to distract himself in his class? Professor Snape walked lightly. Under the gaze of the little wizards, he walked to Lucas step by step. This scene, it made Della and the students of Slytherin very anxious. CH 030. The chill coming from the side, the exploding cauldron. Lucas looked ahead, pretending to be listening carefully. He was actually thinking back to the conversation he had just had with Dumbledore. The confrontation between the two did not seem to take advantage, but Lucas knew in his heart that he had lost. Originally thought that Grindelwald could be used to cause the opponent's mind to fall. Unexpectedly, Dumbledore broke free in just a few seconds. On the other hand, the strength of the opponent's legitimacy. Even though Lucas has max level of clemency, I also had to deliberately tell some truths so as to reduce the strength of the opponent's spell. As expected of the greatest white wizard of this century, even in his old age, he is still extremely powerful. Lucas never underestimated Dumbledore. But as long as it is a human being, it must bear the decline in function caused by aging. Like Nicole Flamel, even if he lived for more than 600 years by relying on the Philosopher's Stone. But now a gust of wind could break his bones too. But in the brief trial with Dumbledore, just now, Lucas didn't notice any signs of fading in the opponent's magic power. He even felt that the opponent's magic power was still very active. Just like young people, Lucas guessed that this probably had something to do with the Phoenix. If only Dumbledore hadn't ended up wearing the Resurrection Stone ring out of greed. Maybe he can live a few more decades. Certainly, if that's the case, then Voldemort won't have anything to do with it. Lucas sighed. This trial made him expose part of his strength. This only made Dumbledore more suspicious. Fortunately, the other party can only doubt, without conclusive evidence. Dumbledore wouldn't do anything to him yet, even because of Voldemort. The other party might even come up with good ideas. The consequences of this incident were carefully analyzed. Lucas looked again at the newly opened series of achievements. To explore the Hogwarts series of achievements, he needs to explore all the areas where Hogwarts belongs, including the Forbidden Forest. It seems that Delaco and Harry will be sent to the Forbidden Forest for some reason later. This is a chance. It seems that the plan for the night tour should be carried out in advance. Hogwarts is too big and includes so many secret passages. It will take a long time to explore all of them. Just when Lucas was planning the next plan, suddenly, I felt a chill coming from my side. A flash of light flashed through the originally empty pupils. Immediately afterwards, he looked beside him very naturally. "What's the matter, Professor Snape?" "Oh, another famous person, Mr. Grindelwald. Please answer the question just now." Lucas stood up and replied, "Daffodil root powder and wormwood can be mixed together to make a powerful sleeping pill. Water of life and death. Bezoar is taken from the stomach of a cow and has a strong detoxification effect. Aconitum acanthus and Aconitum chamagiasma are the same plant, and they are collectively referred to as aconitum." There was a hint of surprise in Professor Snape's eyes, probably because he didn't expect Lucas to be able to answer his own question correctly even when his mind was distracted. It seems that you are smarter than some arrogant guys. The answer is correct." The Slytherin students breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Professor Snape's voice rang in their ears again. "You guys, hurry up and write all these down." The sound of the quill pen rubbing against the parchment immediately spread throughout the classroom. Lucas thought it was over. Unexpectedly, Snape asked again, "Lacewings, leeches, sapweeds, amphora. And what can you make with dried African tree snake skin fragments and bicorn horn powder?" Potion, Professor." Lucas felt bad as soon as he finished speaking. "Really?" Snape's voice sounded immediately after he finished his answer. "It seems that our Mr. Grindelwald is very studious. He even read the banned books. 1 point for Slytherin. I don't know if it is an illusion." Lucas actually heard a hint of schadenfreude from the other party's tone. Revenge. Naked revenge. This narrow-minded guy must have revenged him for the previous conversation. However, you at least proved that your head was not stepped on by a troll. So, 2 points for Slytherin. Professor Snape turned and walked towards the podium. "Congratulations to the host for obtaining a new achievement. Snake King's attention. Rewards: 50 achievement points, 10 silver sickles." Lucas raised an eyebrow. Professor Snape was stingy with extra points. I didn't expect the rewards for his related achievements to be so stingy. At this moment, Professor Snape had already unfurled the curtain hanging from the podium. The steps for making the scabies potion are recorded in detail above. Now, in groups of 2, follow the steps to make the scabies potion. Please remember that these potions will be sent to the medical room for the treatment of scabies. If you don't want to delay the treatment because of the potion you made in the future, please complete the potion making seriously and carefully. Professor Snape left the podium after speaking. Lucas glanced at the contents of the scabies potion. Afterwards, the crucible was set up, and while the initial materials were put in, the snake's fangs were crushed. "Theodore, come and boil the tentacled slug." "Okay, Chief." The 2 cooperated tacitly and completed each preparation work in an orderly manner. Even Professor Snape, who was paying attention, couldn't help but nodded inwardly. Scabies potion is very simple to make. Just remember to remove the cauldron from the heat before putting the porcupine quills in. But it's such a simple request. No one can do it. Accompanied by exclamation sounded in the classroom. Then there was a violent explosion. Green's thick smoke floated from one side. When Lucas looked to the side, the acidic potion had hit him. 031. Lion's friendship. Letters from home. Something went wrong. Idiot. Professor Snape's roar echoed through the basement. Even the people in the corridor could clearly feel his anger. Snape drew his wand, intending to deal with the splashing potion first. Did not expect. Someone cast the spell before him. All fixed. A white light flashed. The potion seemed to be cast in slow motion, slowly staying in midair. Certainly, the same goes for the little wizard around. Their eyes widened. All this is really thrilling and exciting for them. More still curious. Everyone's eyes turned to the direction from which the white light came. I saw Lucas pointing his wand at them. "Clean up." With a wave of the wand, all the potions in the air and on the ground disappeared without a trace. Seeing this, Lucas also lifted the immobilization spell. Does Mr. Grindelwald think he has a high level of enchantment? Oh, of course I don't think so, Professor. For the sake of casting the spell in time, Slytherin gets 2 points. The little snakes heard that Lucas added 2 more points for the academy. Immediately, his expression became beaming. In contrast, the expressions of the little lions are lost and worried. The explosion happened where they were. Everyone could already foresee that a lot of points would be deducted this time. Idiot, I told you to take the cauldron off the damn fire when adding porcupine quills. Why didn't you listen? 10 points from Gryffindor. Hearing that, he was deducted another 10 points. The Cubs became even more listless. That's not all. Professor Snape looked back at Harry, who was sitting in the front row. Potter, why didn't you remind him he couldn't put the porcupine quills in? Gryffindor deducted another point because of you. Feeling targeted by Professor Snape. Harry's expression became very unconvinced. But at this time, Professor Snape had turned and walked towards Neville. Seeing Neville and Seamus covered in red scabies, the demeanor on Snape was even colder. What are you still doing in a daze? Send the 2 of them to the infirmary quickly, he said sharply to those around him. Then he looked at the little wizards who were not seriously injured. Injured people go to the infirmary for treatment by themselves. By the way, ask Madame Pomfrey if there is anything that can heal your head stuffed with acnatharum. A group of lion cubs tremblingly walked out of the basement. Many people were injured this time. Snape, as a professor, followed him to the infirmary until he was gone for a long time. The rest of the classroom breathed a sigh of relief. Harry turned to Lucas and said, "Thank you so much, Lucas. If it weren't for you, I might have gone to the infirmary just now." Other Cubs who were not injured also expressed their gratitude. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a new achievement. Lion's Friendship. Reward. 100 achievement points. Gryffindor Academy-style scarf. Snort. A cold snort suddenly came from beside Harry. See Ron's dissatisfied expression. Della Branch immediately stood up. Weasley, what do you mean? Is it Lucas' fault for saving you? I didn't say I needed his help. Della has tolerated each other for a long time. Oh, Lucas really shouldn't have saved you. He should have let the scabies potion fall on you, preferably on your mouth, so you wouldn't say such nasty words. Oneen and Young Strange Key. As a pure blood family, the Della family has never lost. After all, I've been fascinated by it since I was a child. Ron blushed, but didn't know how to respond. In the end, he could only stand up and glared at the other party. Harry felt a headache when he was caught between the 2 of them. At the same time, he has some complaints about his good friend Ron in his heart. This, by any measure, was Ron's fault. The other Lion Cubs thought the same way, although their Gryffindor Academy has always had conflicts with Slytherin. But that doesn't mean they are ungrateful. Ron's performance displeased everyone. Lucas had a panoramic view of everyone's expressions. Students, a friendly reminder that Professor Snape might be back soon. So let's make the potion quickly. The originally quiet classroom immediately became lively. I saw everyone frantically looking after the cauldron. Lucas smiled and filled the prepared scabies potion into the crystal bottle. As for Ron Weasley, who is he? Lucas doesn't waste his time talking with people he doesn't know well. Soon, Professor Snape went back to the basement. Look at the scabies potion that Lucas and Theodore make. He nodded in satisfaction. Although the formula is simple, the quality of the potion is excellent. 2 points for Slytherin. The horrible potions class is over. The little wizards scrambled to leave the classroom. There were some Slytherin snakes among them. First-year classes at Hogwarts are very relaxing. There are only 2 or 3 classes a day. With the end of the potions class, the little wizards also completed their first day of study. Had dinner. Lucas returned to the dormitory, looking at the wand on the table with a questioning expression. Come over. With one command, the wand seemed to cut through the void. Suddenly appeared in Lucas' palm. Such a strange ability was discovered in potions class. At that time, I was faced with scabies potion flying. It was too late for Lucas to draw his wand. When he was about to cast a spell without a wand, the wand suddenly appeared in his hand. It seems to be because the core of the rod is his hair. It makes the wand also have a part of the ability to cross the void. This is really good, and you don't have to be wary of other people's disarming spells in the future. Get your stuff ready for a night out. Lucas planned to take advantage of the night to explore the castle. but did not wait for him to act. Astia flew in with a letter in her mouth. In fact, Lucas has always been curious about where Astia flew into the basement from, but now is obviously not the time to explore these. The letter was from Vita Rother. See the contents of a letter. Lucas' expression turned serious immediately. Problem occurs. Abernathy is seriously injured. After determining the spatial coordinates of the manor, Lucas immediately tore open the void and disappeared into the dormitory. Hogwarts anti-apparition spell? What is? CH 032. The whole story and the traitor. The green light that illuminates the night sky. Wiltshire, Grindelwald Estate. A dozen members of the Saints came to the hall, waiting for Lucas to return. Vita Rohir stood at the forefront. He stared intently at the portrait of Gellert Grindelwald on the wall. Vita Aunt, what the hell happened? With Lucas' voice, a void rift appeared in the hall. Master, seeing everyone bowing to him, Lucas nodded indifferently, then looked at Wada beside him. 2 hours ago, people from the German Ministry of Magic went to Nurmengard, claiming to take over the castle. Abernathy received the news and led people to rush there immediately, but was attacked by an auror on the way. Abernathy was seriously injured, and some members were arrested. Lucas sat in the main seat and listened quietly to the other party's report. Even after hearing the news of Abernathy's serious injury, there was no slight fluctuation in his eyes. Then what? Our supporters arrived, and the aurors were defeated and retreated. Nurmengard Castle is safe and sound, and it is still under our control. That's all right. The letter says someone betrayed Abernathy. Who? Vita clapped his palms. Pine Carroll walked in with an old man. Master Lucas. Nice to see you again, Mr. Pine. Lucas greeted the visitor. Then he looked at the old man in Pine's hand. Bill Hicks' uncle. He heard Lucas call out his name. Bill looked at each other tremblingly. Lucas, they threatened my family, and I was confused. Lucas, please give me another chance for your father's sake. Lucas squatted in front of Bill, looked at his old face, and said, Uncle Hicks, I remember you as the father who followed in 1943, right? You have suffered a lot in these decades. Look at his gentle expression. Hicks let out a long breath, and he was about to speak. I felt 2 fingers pointing to my forehead. So, please take a good rest, Avada Kedavra. The full-level killing curse erupted with a dazzling green light. When the people in the hall came back to their senses, they saw that Bill Hicks' eyes were lax, and his skin instantly turned gray and white. The members of the Saints in the hall shuddered subconsciously. Their eyes turned to Lucas. The 11-year-old young master looked indifferent. It seemed to him that using the unforgivable curse to kill someone was just a trivial matter. Carry the body down and bury it properly. As soon as Lucas turned around, he saw Vita's worried eyes. Don't worry, I'm fine. But your trace. It's okay. Someone will take care of it for me. Go back to your seat. Looking at Pine, Caro, standing aside, Lucas asked, Anything else? Master, we have inquired about some news. It is said that people from the German Ministry of Magic will come to England in a while, and the target may be you. Do you know the time? It hasn't been confirmed yet, but if you follow the regular interview process, you need to wait around Halloween. Lucas raised his right hand and stroked his chin. After a while, a smile suddenly appeared. Don't stop them, just let them come. But before that, I will give them a big gift. Lucas took another look at Pine Caro. You don't want to go back. Stay in England. Wada, Aunt will take you to meet someone later, and he will arrange your next job. Pine nodded happily. Wait until he walks out of the room. Only Lucas and Vita remained in the hall. Vita, Aunt, how is the preparation over there? Don't worry. Someone has already brought your coordinates back with the door key, and it should be here by now. Lucas closed his eyes immediately after hearing this. The spiritual power went deep into the void and soon found his own space mark. Found it. He took Vita's hand, and the two of them stepped into the void in front of them and disappeared. At the same time, the Ministry of Magic's Misuse of Magic Office welcomes a rare visitor. Wait for the other party to leave. Records of Lucas traces have disappeared. Fargo Magic Hospital, Austria. Lucas shows up beside the hospital bed with Vita. See Abernathy's pale face. Lucas became extremely self-blame. Hey, It's none of your business, Lucas. It's my own carelessness. Nonsense. If I hadn't asked you to stay, you wouldn't have been injured so badly. Hear this. Abernathy chuckled a little. Looking into Lucas' red eyes, he teased. No way. Does our master Lucas want to cry like a child? Lucas turned his head. Stop talking nonsense, I won't. After a moment of silence, he said again, Uncle Abernathy, I will avenge you. Well, I believe in you. Don't worry, my old bones can still hold on. I'm still waiting for Gellert and you to lead us to true freedom. The two chatted for a short time. Abernathy fell asleep, seeing the other party lying on the hospital bed, still frowning tightly. Lucas said softly, Vita, Aunt, when Uncle Abernathy's injury recovers, he will be taken to England, and more staff will be arranged at my father's place. Vita nodded and followed Lucas out of the ward. The basement of Nurmengard Castle. Several captured Aurors are being held here. Lucas entered the basement wearing a black robe. His appearance was covered by a wide hood, and others could only see his delicate chin. BD, scum, you magical thugs, kill me if you have the ability. Let go of me, you villains. Several Aurors were brought before Lucas. See his shape at this time. The curses of the Aurors were even harsher. But before they could say a few more words, they saw a delicate palm protruding from the robe. The soul is out of the body. 033. The moon is bright and the stars are thin. The Ministry of Magic is under attack. German Ministry of Magic. As the administrative body of the German magic community. The office is located in a building in the center of Berlin, just like Magian, only under the influence of the Muggle shielding charm. It has not been discovered so far. Midnight. The Ministry of Magic was still brightly lit, compared to the hustle and bustle of the day. At this time, it was much deserted here. Only countless enchanted letters shuttled through the building. The wizard in charge of duty leaned back on the chair and slacked off. Slap, slap. There was a sound of footsteps in the silent hall. The awakened wizard immediately looked towards the entrance. I saw 3 Aurors with injuries all over their bodies walking towards him, supporting each other. Ronald, Mike, you are not. Oh, Charles, thank goodness for coming to help. Mike is badly hurt. Ronald fell to the ground as soon as he finished speaking. It could be seen that he himself was seriously injured. Charles, the wizard in charge, ran forward immediately. Certainly, he did not forget to inform his superiors. The soul is out of the body. As soon as Charles approached, Ronald, who was lying on the ground, raised his wand to him, until the wizard on duty was completely controlled by the Imperius Curse. The 3 people on the ground stood up. At the same time, distortions of space appear in many streets and alleys of Berlin. To the common people, this may be paranormal, but if a wizard sees it, he can immediately guess that someone is using the port key. Berlin in the dark. A group of uninvited guests have been won tonight. Lucas, everyone is here. Vita Rohir approached the figure in front and whispered in its ear. Really, let's go then. Looking at the towering buildings in the distance. Lucas, dressed in black, stepped forward. When he walked out of the dark alley, there are already dozens of Saint members outside. Everyone followed behind Lucas without saying a word. It can be seen from the clenched wands in their hands and the angry expressions. Tonight, Berlin is not destined to be peaceful. German Ministry of Magic. Charles took the 3 injured Aurors to the infirmary on the 8th floor. At this time, the person in charge of the Auror who got the news also rushed from home. Ronald, how did you come back? It's Mike. He brought a port key with him before he left. We used the port key to escape. The head of the Auror is a middle-aged wizard in his 40s. He touched his bald head, his eyes full of vigilance and doubt. Ronald, you should know the rules. Hand in the wand, and return it to you after you're sure that you are not under control. Of course, we'd love to. Ronald handed over the wand to the other party without hesitation. He even offered to help get Mike's wand. As for the other companion, he handed over his wand, which was also quite cooperative. The head Auror breathed a sigh of relief. The tense body also relaxes, but he didn't know. Charles behind him had already aimed his wand at himself. Awada eats a big melon. A green light flashed. The hard-working head of the Aurors for 20 years would never have guessed. He didn't die in the battle to arrest the Black Wizard. Instead, He died at the hands of his own people. At the same time, an Auror who followed the person in charge also died at Ronald's hands. Mike, don't pretend to be dead. Get up and work. Mike, who was seriously injured and unconscious, turned over immediately. He tore off a few hairs from the person in charge and threw them into the compound potion he had prepared. Vomit-suppressing nausea, he took 2 sips. Mike's appearance quickly changed into that of the other party. Get ready for action. Auror office. The members of the Saints who were captured were temporarily held here. A few Aurors were playing wizard chess and discussing the ambush earlier in the day. Hey guys, do you guys think I'm going to get an award tomorrow? Why? Oh, you don't even know that I injured Abernathy, the famous core member of the Saints. One Auror looked at the others triumphantly. Abernathy is still well known in most European countries. The others looked at him enviously. Words of blessing just came to my lips. I saw the person in charge leading Ronald and the others into the office. Director, several Aurors got up immediately and carefully covered the wizard chess. Well, how about those Grindelwald lackeys? Don't worry, it's been repaired, and it's a lot quieter. The person in charge came in front of several people and said, "Thanks to you, especially you. I heard it just now. I will never forget the credit for being able to injure Abernathy." The expressions of several Aurors immediately became excited. Just when they were happy and excited, a few green lights flashed in front of his eyes. The last sentence heard by everyone was, "Avada eats a big melon. Free the imprisoned members of the Saints." Ronald took out a portkey. The spell above was lifted. He signaled several Saints to leave quickly. As for Ronald and the others, Lucas also assigned another task. Outside, the German Ministry of Magic. Lucas stood on a residential building and stared at the brightly lit building in front of him. At this moment, only Vito was with him. Suddenly, the space behind the two is distorted. Several imprisoned members of the Saints showed up on the roof. "Welcome back, uncles." "Master Lucas?" Lucas nodded. "I'm sorry for you. Let's rest for a while, and we'll go home later." Saw people rescued. Lucas and Vita exchanged glances. The two took out their wands at the same time and said to the building of the Ministry of Magic, "Call out the most ferocious fire with the shout of the magic god, the Devil's Flame." Crimson fiend fire spewed from the tip of the wand. The flames set the building of the German Ministry of Magic ablaze, with Lucas full rage. At the same time, dozens of fire snakes also shot out around the Ministry of Magic building. 034. The Ministry of Magic, in the midst of the raging flames, start to deal with the aftermath. The first thing Fiend Fire destroyed was the Muggle repelling charm that had been cast on the building's surface. Immediately afterwards, the crimson flame began to spread upward from the ignition point. After a while, dozens of fiery flames gathered in one place, turned into a gigantic flame dragon. "Hold head high." The dragon roared to the sky, gradually climb up the outside of the building. Inside the building, the wizards on duty in various departments have noticed something strange outside. Clear water is like a spring. In faced the raging fire. The first reaction of the wizards was to put out the fire with a flick of their wand. But it was a curse that was always invincible. The stream of water summoned now turned into steam before it even got close to the flame. "This is fierce fire. It cannot be extinguished. Everyone run." With a loud shout, the German Ministry of Magic became completely confused. The Ministry of Magic of any country. There are only so many powerful wizards, such as elite Aurors. As for other adult wizards, they couldn't even cast the effective Iron Armor charm. Facing Fiend Fire, these wizards are no different from the common people. In chaos, some wizards began to apparate. The wizard who can't apparate is begging others to take him away. Cries, roars, and curses resounded throughout the Ministry of Magic. At this time, under the control of the Imperius Curse, Ronald and the others went to all floors of the Ministry of Magic. Devil Flame. The fierce fire cast by several people began to rage inside the building. The Ministry of Magic's protective spell was easily destroyed by the attack from within. Ronald looked at Fiend Fire in front of him with a strange smile. He threw the wand in his hand. "Make Fiend Fire completely out of control." Several others are like him. Wait until all this is done. The Imperius Curse on them was also lifted. Facing the raging fire, Several people showed horror. No, don't. The ruthless flames devoured them, and then turned into a flame phoenix and flew towards the top floor. It's so beautiful. For people in Berlin, tonight should be unforgettable forever. Lucas looked at the fire phoenix and fire dragon on the roof and said softly, "At this moment, the building is like a gigantic torch. Light up the whole of Berlin. It's on fire. Put out the fire. Why is there an extra building here suddenly? Oh God, what the hell? I'm going to complain. This must be an alien base. They must have used some method to keep us from seeing it." Hear the shouts from the street. Lucas took Vita to the distance. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a new achievement. Revenge and Carnival. Reward, 500 achievement points. Lucas raised his brows lightly. He was quite satisfied with what he got tonight, accompanied by the sound of whipping. The figures of the two also disappeared. A few hours later, in front of the ruins of the Ministry of Magic, the minister of the German Ministry of Magic said through gritted teeth, "A hole. It must have been done by those voodoo parties." The answer is obvious. After all, their aura had only been to Nurmengard this afternoon. Also achieved good results. It's just that everyone didn't expect the opponent's revenge to come so quickly. Hurry up and negotiate with the British Ministry of Magic. I will capture that damned little beast and put it in prison. The director of the International Affairs Department nodded with a gloomy expression. England, Wiltshire. Lucas and Vita returned to the manor across the space. After 2 long-distance crossings, Lucas found that his magic power seemed to increase a bit. Vita Ant strengthened the protection of the manor during this period and arranged for Uncle Abernathy to come to England to recuperate as soon as possible. "Don't worry, leave it to me, but you mean they sent people to Hogwarts to catch me?" Wada frowned slightly and said, "After tonight, those people may become even crazier, so be careful. It's fine, I'll be safe at Hogwarts. After all, there's the greatest white wizard of this century." Said something jokingly. Lucas tore through the void and returned to his dormitory. When Astia saw him come back, she cried happily a few times. "Girl, be quiet. I'm going to prepare for the aftermath, and I'll play with you when I come back, okay?" Soothed Astia. Lucas adjusted his wizard robes. Looking at the wand he had snatched in his hand, he immediately snapped it off and threw it into the void. "I'm afraid that's not enough." Lucas thought for a while, picked up another kerosene lamp, and walked out of the dormitory. Hogwarts Castle at night looked extremely gloomy. The portraits on the wall also fell asleep at this moment. There was a sound of footsteps. The dim light of kerosene lamps was lit at the end of the corridor. "Hey, turn off your lights. It's bad manners to disturb someone's sleep." "Oh, sorry, sir. I'm leaving right away," Lucas said apologetically to the portrait on the wall. Along the way, he apologized to the portrait. To ask why? Naturally, for these portraits to see themselves. If Lucas guessed right, these portraits are actually equivalent to the cameras in Hogwarts. As the property of Hogwarts Castle, they must obey the principal's orders. Dumbledore probably learned what happened in the castle through these portraits. Certainly, the method of dodging these portraits is also very simple. Disillusionment spells or invisibility cloaks will do. "Oh shit, put out the lamp in your hand. Kid." Sorry, the apology came again. Lucas walked farther and farther and soon came to the library. Oh, let me see who this is." It turned out to be Mr. Grindelwald, who earned house points for the house today. What? Does Mr. Grindelwald think he is so great? So he plans to take a thrilling night tour like those stupid lions? A low, melodious tone came from behind. The corners of Lucas' lips rose, and then he turned to look at the person coming. "Professor Snape, are you still awake at this late hour? Ch. 035. The threatened quarrel is poor, and he meets twins by chance." Seeing that Lucas wasn't afraid of himself at all, Professor Snape wondered if his dignity had diminished recently. "Mr. Grindelwald, as the head of the first year, a Slytherin, you should know better how to protect yourself. At this moment, it's time to turn off the lights and go to sleep. If you wander in the corridor, you will only cause unnecessary trouble for yourself." "Oh, Merlin, Dean, are you concerned about me?" Lucas can assure you. After he said those words, the air pressure around Professor Snape dropped even lower. "Oh," Snape sneered. This is his impatience. For Snape, who always had a cold face, the sudden sneer was indeed scary. Mr. Grindelwald, go back to your dormitory immediately, or I will have to deduct 100 points from my college because of your night tour. Well, Lucas didn't expect Professor Snape to be so ruthless. He immediately said good night to the other party. Then he left the scene quickly. Mr. Grindelwald, my office will be confinement after class tomorrow. This is your punishment for going out at night without permission. Understood, the dean. Lucas walked a long way before stopping. Of course, he won't just go back. I found a corner without a picture. Lucas cast the disillusionment charm on himself. Returned to the hallway where Snape had just appeared. The other party has not left yet. Come out, Professor Quirrell. Just as Snape finished speaking, a series of footsteps sounded in the empty corridor. Professor Snape, Professor, didn't you rest too? Quirrell had a timid look on his face. Be careful when speaking. But Lucas knew that everything this guy was showing was a disguise. The other party was a ruthless person who dared to let Voldemort put his head on his head. Professor Quirrell, why are you still awake at this late hour? I couldn't sleep, so I went out for a walk. Let's go. Professor Snape grabbed his shoulder and pressed him against the corridor wall. Corina's Quirrell, there may be some misunderstanding between you and me. I am not your enemy. Snape, I don't understand what you're talking about. No, you should understand in your heart. Snape had a tone that had already seen it through, as if trying to induce Quirrell to say something. Quirrell wasn't stupid, though. On the contrary, he who graduated from Lawen Kelluo is quite smart. Just when Quirrell shook his head in denial, from the direction of a library, Filch, the curator, cursed. Snape let go of him and walked over, frowning. Seeing the cold snake king go away, Quirrell heaved a sigh of relief and changed his cowardly appearance just now. As everyone knows, his appearance at the moment is seen by the portraits in the corridor. Certainly, this includes Lucas as well. Oh, poor little Quirrell. It probably didn't occur to him that his every move was already under Dumbledore's surveillance. Wait until Quirrell is gone. Lucas continued with the purpose of this trip. Push open the door of the library. It's very quiet inside at the moment. It is unknown who lured Filch and Snape away, so that Lucas can rest assured to read books here. Fluorescent flickering. The wand lights up. Lucas identified the direction and walked quickly to the restricted area. As for the portraits inside the library, see yourself. It doesn't matter. He had meant for them to see. Dumbledore probably couldn't think of that. Lucas came to the restricted area to find books about Animagus. Look at the contents of the book word by word. Lucas soon fell into an ocean of knowledge. At this time, the door of the restricted area was pushed open again. The Weasley twins ran in one after the other. Hey, George, look, there's a light over there. It can't be that guy Filch waiting for us. Obviously, it's not possible. I think the other side should be the same as us. Fred finished. The twins smiled in unison. Tiptoe to the light. The two obviously intended to scare each other. Surprise! The twins who were meant to scare others. Looking at the figure that suddenly disappeared in front of his eyes, he froze in place for a moment. Before they could react, a low, gloomy voice came from behind. Excuse me, what's the matter with you? Coincidentally, Mrs. Norris' cry came at the same time. The twins felt cold all over. The hair stand on end, seeing that the two were about to cry out. Lucas hurried forward and covered their mouths. If you don't want me caught by Filch, keep quiet. Filch's footsteps had come to the door. Lucas swung his wand and cast the disillusionment charm on the three of them. Filch is a squib, so to a certain extent he hated young wizards very much. He hates little wizards who don't study hard and waste their talents even more. So when he was caught during a night tour, it usually didn't end well. Filch had a cat and named it Mrs. Norris. The cat is his emotional sustenance. At the same time, the cat's nose is also very good. Hey, Mrs. Norris, is anyone here? Filch came in with a lamp in hand. He walked carefully through each bookshelf. He even passed back and forth in front of the three of Lucas twice. The twins were no longer afraid now. On the contrary, seeing that Filch couldn't see themselves, they immediately turned on each other. Boom! In a quarter of an hour, the doors to the restricted section are closed again. The three people who showed their stature were relieved. Look at the twins beside you. A gleam flashed in Lucas' eyes. It's really hard to find a place to go through iron shoes, and it doesn't take much effort to get it. If you ask who is the student who knows Hogwarts Castle best, the Weasley twins are undoubtedly the first choice. And the two of them also had an item comparable to an artifact in their hands. Marauder's Map. If you have a Marauder's Map, plus the help of the two of you, I believe that the series of achievements in exploring Hogwarts will be completed soon. CH 036. Earning achievement points crazy. Twins friendship. The Weasley twins have a life as gorgeous as fireworks. They're like the ones in school who are always mischievous, but loved by all the teachers and classmates. They are brilliant, although this talent is used in pranks. They were the only students who could get Peeves to salute. They are also the only ones who bring joy to the school in the darkness of the future. Looking at the twins in front of me laughing and looking at him, I'm afraid they won't think of it either. One day in the future, the two who are inseparable will be separated. This is something no one thought of. Even in Molly Weasley's nightmares, her two sons were never separated. The Weasley twins are like Severus Snape. It's what Lucas used to have. Seeing the blonde boy in front of him staring at him, the twins looked at each other and asked in unison, "What's the matter with you?" "Little Chief of Slytherin." "It's nothing. I suddenly thought of something." Lucas shook his head and said, "Nice to meet you, the famous Weasley twins. My name is Lucas Grindelwald." Lucas introduced himself very formally, even made standard aristocratic etiquette. The twins smiled at each other and bowed slowly to salute. "Fred Weasley." "George Weasley." "Nice to meet you, Mr. Grindelwald." Know each other well. The twins are back to their former self. The two held Lucas' shoulders from left to right and asked, "Little Chief, what was your spell just now?" "It looks cool. Phantom Body Curse. Do you want to learn it? I can give it to you." "Real." Seeing Lucas nod, the twins' expressions became very excited. Even if you think about it with your feet, you can understand it. The twins who have learned the illusion spell are even more restless at night. Seeing the twins staring at him eagerly, Lucas was going to remind the two of them to pay attention to the next location. A library is not a good place to learn charms. Just at this time, Filch's voice came again from outside the gates of the restricted section. "Professor Snape, I'm pretty sure those two boys are in there, but I can't spot them." "Filch, you've said it many times. Don't worry. I'll take care of these two little mice." Snape's deep voice came. Lucas visibly saw the twins stiffen. Cast disillusionment again. He gave the twins a look. The two understood and followed him cautiously towards the door. Lucas slowed down, afraid of making unnecessary noise. Seeing that the door is close at hand, the twins' wizard robes accidentally brushed against the door. In the silent library, this sound became very obvious. The human form appears. Snape swung his wand towards the door. A white light glowed from the top. The figures of the three suddenly appeared at the door. Fortunately, none of them are fools. When the spell sounded, the three of them had already run out of the gate, leaving only Snape behind. Lucas took the twins to the 8th floor of the castle, stopped by the wall with the tapestry of Barnabas with the Troll Club. Watching Lucas walk back and forth in front of the tapestry, the twins looked puzzled. Soon, the two found a wooden door on the wall opposite the tapestry. Under their stunned gaze, Lucas stepped forward and opened the door. "Please, please." "Oh, this is really amazing. I didn't expect Hogwarts to have such a strange place." The twins enter the room. There are human-shaped wooden targets everywhere, just like a spell practice room. "Little Chief, what exactly is this place?" Lucas didn't hold back and explained to the two with a smile. "This is called the Room of Response. Just like I did just now, I think about the room I need in my mind, and then walk back and forth 3 times in front of the tapestry, and the door of the corresponding room will appear." "The Room of Requirement?" the twins said in unison. The two looked at each other. The unique tacit understanding of the twins allowed them to immediately understand each other's thoughts. "Oh, if I need a room full of prank props." Not waiting for Lucas to nod, Fred on the side slapped his younger brother George. "Hey, why don't you want a room full of galleons?" Seeing that the two of them planned to go out to experiment immediately, Lucas quickly stopped the two of them. "Don't dream. The things transformed from the room cannot be taken out unless the items are also from the outside world. The twins suddenly lost interest in exploring, but heard that Lucas was going to teach them the disillusionment spell. The two regained their spirits. Watching the twins practice the disillusionment spell alone, Lucas also took the time to glance at the system. He heard several beeps just now. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a new achievement. Explore the library, get rewards. 100 achievement points, swimming with ghouls. Congratulations to the host for a new achievement. The friendship between the Weasley twins. Rewards. 50 achievement points, prank candy. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a new achievement. Explore the room of response and get a reward. 200 achievement points. Lucas calculated carefully. He got a total of 850 achievement points tonight. The harvest is rich and the results are gratifying. Watching the twins, still practicing, Lucas hands the 2 prank candies. Immediately afterwards, the roar of lions and elephants resounded in the room of response. Amidst the laughter, the friendship between the 3 became deeper. Little Chief, in order to thank you for your generosity, we are going to give you a special gift. It's a very, very miraculous gift. Little Chief, don't be too surprised when the time comes. Before parting, the twins said mysteriously, watching the 2 cast the illusion spell and leave. Lucas also returned to the Slytherin lounge. Have to say, the talent of the twins is really good, and the disillusionment spell is already an advanced spell. The 2 were able to barely display it in such a short period of time. The next day, Lucas walked into the restaurant with a tired face. He felt the need to prepare some sobriety potions. Breakfast time. He didn't go to Polwyn Kelluo's long table, because every morning the head of the grade has to make arrangements for the next day. At this time, a flock of owls flew from outside. Most owls have a copy of the Daily Prophet in their talents. Lucas suddenly looked forward. I don't know if there will be a report about last night on it. 037. In the turbulent wizarding world, Dumbledore's gaze. Lucas took the Daily Prophet from Astia's paw. He picked up a piece of jerky from the table and fed it to it. What happened last night? Sure enough, the Daily Prophet has published it. Even headlines. Looking at the angry curse of the German Minister of Magic in the newspaper, Lucas sneered inwardly. Oh, Merlin, read the newspaper quickly. The German Ministry of Magic has been attacked by mobs. The little wizard who saw the newspaper exclaimed. The restaurant immediately became lively. Looking at the ruins of the German Ministry of Magic in the newspaper, there were exclamations from every corner of the restaurant. Reporters interviewed Minister Orwell, who insisted the attack was carried out by saints led by Grindelwald. Everyone knows that Grindelwald is now imprisoned in Nurmengard Castle's prison. Wizards in Germany believe that Minister Orwell just wants to put the blame on the saints. After all, everyone knows that Minister Orwell's big brother died at the hands of Gellert Grindelwald, the little wizard of law, when Kelluo finished reading the contents of the newspaper. Everyone in the restaurant turned their eyes to Slytherin. Lucas still ate gracefully. He also saw what was in the newspaper. I didn't expect that old guy Orwell to have such a relationship with him. The little wizards just took a brief look. They don't think that Lucas has the ability to go to Berlin in the middle of the night and make a scene, although most people no longer pay attention. But Dumbledore never took his eyes off Lucas. When he received the message this morning, immediately asked the portraits of previous principals about Lucas. I learned that the other party was on a night tour of the castle last night. Dumbledore was relieved, but still doubtful. According to the information he received, Abernathy was seriously injured yesterday afternoon, and Vita Rothier has been in Wiltshire. Lucas didn't leave school again. Dumbledore couldn't think of anyone else who could call the saints together. Severus, I heard a lot of interesting things happened in the castle last night. It's just some idiot who got his head trampled by a troll looking for something exciting. The two had a seemingly simple conversation. In fact, it is sending a message. Sure, Snape met Lucas last night. Dumbledore dismissed his suspicions for the time being, although he didn't think anyone could sneak into Hogwarts and take Lucas out. But be careful. Severus, sometimes you should be more lenient with the students. It is understandable that they are curious when they just came to Hogwarts. Snape swallowed the last mouthful of food, stood up, and prepared to leave. Severus, if you have time, please take some potions for teeth healing to the principal's office. My teeth are not feeling well lately. If you eat sweets without restraint, next time it will not be your teeth that will be damaged, but your brain, Mr. Principal." After Snape finished speaking, he walked out through the small door on one side. In fact, both of them understood that the potion and the toothache were just a cover, since it cannot be confirmed that what happened last night was done by the Saints. Then Dumbledore had to wonder if it was another terrorist gang, and Severus Snape had been one of those guys. Coincidentally, the reporter from the Daily Prophet had the same thoughts as Dumbledore. Instead of believing that the Saints did it, it is better to believe that it is the revenge of the Death Eaters. After all, Voldemort had only disappeared for more than 10 years. At the beginning, most of his followers were in their prime of life. There are even a considerable number of people who have escaped the trial of the wizarding law. Hear the name Death Eater. The faces of the little wizards in the restaurant became unsightly. Even the little snakes of Slytherin. "Oh, Merlin, look behind you. There are still people breaking into Gringotts. What happened to the wizarding world? What are the Aurors from the Ministry of Magic doing?" A turbulent wizarding world. Let the little wizards feel a little scared. When Harry heard that Gringotts had been robbed, he immediately grabbed the newspaper. "Vault 713. Isn't this where Hagrid and I go? See what's in the newspaper." Harry thought he had discovered something very remarkable. He put away the newspaper and planned to show it to Delabranche later. Slytherin long table. Lucas finished the coffee in his cup, looked at the restless little snakes, and said, "Next, I will announce two things. You have also seen the current situation. For your safety, before the Christmas holiday, at least learn one of fainting and petrification. In addition, several of our chiefs have discussed that on the upcoming Halloween, we're going to hold a Halloween ball in the common room. Those who want to participate, please prepare costumes as soon as possible." Hear him. The little snakes looked very excited. "Cool. Thanks, Chief, for thinking about us." "Oh, the Halloween ball. That's a great opportunity." Hearing Boo Rice Zabini's words, the people present nodded unconsciously. 4 Slytherin students who have attended various banquets since childhood. Prom, in addition to relaxing, is also a good opportunity to maintain relationships. Lucas wasn't as much as they thought. In his capacity, there is no need to think about these at all. Seeing Della, who also looked excited, Lucas asked suspiciously, "Given the status of your Malfoy family in the British wizarding world, you shouldn't need to deliberately make friends with others, right?" "What are you talking about? I'm just excited about the flying lessons I'm waiting for, and I have an appointment with Harry to try it out." "Oh shit, this brat." It was a waste of his feelings. Also don't know if it's good or bad to have Della and Harry as friends. Lucas only recently found out. The Della family seems to have a tendency to develop into a lion. Soon, breakfast will be over. Lucas led the freshmen to the lawn outside the castle. Flying class, a big class taught by the 4 colleges together. See Lucas coming towards you. Hermione immediately waved her hand. "Lucas, this way. CH. 038. Brash Neville, 2 fighting fighters. Flying lessons. A compulsory course for wizards traveling long distances. Although there are more convenient methods, such as apparition and magic bus. But I don't know if it is to maintain tradition. Every little wizard must learn to ride a broom." Lucas didn't think it was useful at all. Not fast enough. There is no shelter in rainy or snowy days. But seeing how excited the others are, he could only stand in line. The professor of the flight class is named Roland Hooch. Professor Hooch is an expert on broom, flying, and Quidditch. She has short gray hair and hawk-like eyes. The first flight lesson is starting now. What are you waiting for? Everyone stands on the left side of the broom. Wait until everyone is on their feet. Professor Hooch went on to say, "Now stretch out your right hand, and then say to the broom, 'Get up.'" She had just finished speaking. The 2 words, "get up," on the lawn are connected together. Both Harry and Della have excellent flying talents. The 2 woke up the broom almost at the same time. Ron Weasley on the side was a little slower. Mr. Weasley, who claims to have always played Quidditch before school. It's not as good as Harry, who was first exposed to brooms. In his opinion, this is very embarrassing. Up, up. Hermione watched the rolling on the ground, but the broom that didn't get up was upset. Suddenly, I heard laughter from the side. She didn't turn her head. She rolled her eyes silently. "Mr. Lucas, it is very rude of you to mock a lady who is struggling like this." Beautiful lady, I didn't mean to laugh at you. I just laughed at your naughty broom. Humph. It looks like Mr. Lucas, your broom, is still on the ground. Glancing at the broom that Lucas had left on the ground, Hermione's eyes were a little smug, although her flying talent is poor. But at least it gets the broom moving. Lucas saw through the other person's mind at a glance. He looked at the ground and said softly, "Get up." The broom took off immediately. And that's not all. The broom seems to have turned into a puppy wagging its tail. Turn around Lucas several times. "How do you feel now, beautiful Miss Hermione?" Snort. About half an hour passed. Students from the 4 colleges finally completed their first preparations. Everyone straddled the broom, waiting for Professor Hooch's next instruction. "Very well, relax. When you hear the whistle, you'll kick the ground hard, hold on to the broom, and hover in the air first." Professor Hooch didn't finish his sentence. Mr. Neville Longbottom had already floated into the air. Fear and nervousness made his magic power extremely unstable. Seeing this, Professor Hooch quickly comforted him. "Mr. Longbottom, calm down." Whoosh. Before finishing speaking again, Neville's broom completely lost control. There were exclamations on the lawn. Lucas propped up his broom and looked at Neville Longbottom, who was in the air. Speaking up, this reckless Mr. Longbottom with a poor memory. It will be a great achievement in the future. Recognized by Gryffindor's sword. At least it shows that this coward has made great progress in the future. Think Gryffindor's sword. Lucas had another headache. He has no idea about the series of achievements of collecting the relics of the Big Four, although he knows where these things are. But he couldn't find a way to dispose of Voldemort's soul fragments and use them even if he got them, just when he was in a trance. Suddenly, screams came from beside him. I saw Longbottom being hung on the spear of the Castle Stone Man. It was about 80 feet above the ground at this point. Merlin, Neville's life may be in danger if he falls. Tear. Classmate Neville's wizard robe was torn from one side. Lucas looked at Miss Hermione Crowmouth Granger beside her. Didn't expect her to have such a skill. I don't know if it's the butterfly effect. Neville had nothing to slow down his fall this time, seeing that he was about to be smashed to pieces. Lucas summoned his wand and pointed at him. There are many obstacles. The spell hit Neville, making his fall extremely slow. It even floated in midair for a while. Take advantage of this time. Lucas waved his wand again. Zombies drift. This spell is specially used to move the human body. It's just that the disadvantage is very obvious. That is, the speed at which the spell is launched is very slow. Seeing that Neville was out of danger, everyone present breathed a sigh of relief. Especially Professor Hooch. "Thank you, Mr. Grindelwald. And I'll give Slytherin 10 points for your excellent spells and helping out at critical moments." "Thank you very much, Professor Hooch." Freshmen from the 4 colleges. Seeing Lucas cast spells they couldn't so easily, the eyes are full of admiration. Padma Patil quietly wanted to get closer to Hermione. "Princess Hermione, it looks like your knight is being targeted by many people. You have to be careful." "Padma, what are you talking about?" "Don't hide it. Senior Sister Qiu Zhang told me all about it. I learned that my little secret was betrayed by my best friend." Hermione blushed and was also a little angry, although Neville was not injured, but he was timid and passed out during the fall. Professor Hooch immediately picked him up and walked towards the infirmary. Before leaving, he also asked everyone not to fly at will. Congratulations to the host for completing the new achievement, acting bravely for righteousness. Rewards: 20 achievement points and a memory ball. System: I saved someone's life. Why only 20 achievement points? The event of being brave for righteousness is too easy for the host, so the reward achievement points are reduced. Sullenly shut down the system. Before Lucas could turn around, he heard the quarrel between Della and Ron coming from behind. When he wants to understand the situation, the two of them had already rode brooms and flew out like arrows leaving the string. 039. Ron's jealousy. Harry, in a dilemma. Not long after Professor Hooch left Della Branch, remembered the agreement with Harry. "Harry, do you want to come to BB? Just in time. I can tell you how to play Quidditch." Friendships between young wizards are often as simple as that. Certainly, it is also very simple for a little wizard to be jealous of someone. Ron looked at the two walking side by side. Don't mention how uncomfortable I feel. Ron thought it was the Harry Potter he knew first. You should be the other person's best friend. And the Malfoys are Death Eaters. How could Harry Potter be with the children of Death Eaters? Ron complained a few words in his mind. Seeing two people holding brooms and preparing to take off, they rushed over immediately. Harry, what are you doing? How about taking one with me? Looking at Ron, running towards him. Harry nodded in agreement without hesitation. He also wants to resolve the conflict between Della and Ron. Both are his good friends. He didn't want to be in a dilemma every time. The young Harry, our Lady Potter, fantasized about the future adventures of the three of them together, and the corners of his mouth raised unconsciously. Ron, Della is going to teach me how to play Quidditch. Didn't you say you often play it at home? Come and teach me too. No problem, Harry. Trust me, the rules are actually very simple. Ron flew unsteadily to the two of them on his broom. He even pushed Della off Harry's side. You, Della Branch. Look at the begging in Harry Green's eyes. Delaco took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. The three of them flew slowly in the air like this. In process, Ron's mouth kept talking about the rules of Quidditch. Didn't give Delaco a chance to speak at all. Harry looked very embarrassed on the side. In fact, Della has already told himself this. It was just an excuse. Who knew Ron would actually take it seriously? Listen to the chattering voice in your ear. Delaco snorted impatiently. This also attracted the dissatisfaction of Mr. Ron Weasley. Hey, Malfoy, do you think there's something wrong with my explanation? Della looked at Harry and replied after a few seconds. No, you speak very well, but I don't know if your technique is as good as your mouth. Would you like to compete? Ron asked with a flushed face. Ron's proposal hit the nail on the head. Delaco Malfoy frowned. As you wish. He took out a memory ball from inside the wizard robe. This is what Neville Longbottom dropped on the ground just now. Whoever gets the memory ball first will win. How? Of course, if anyone accidentally breaks him, he will pay Mr. Longbottom a new one. Weasley, dare you? If you don't dare come. Ron wanted to save face. Immediately after agreeing, hold the broom tightly with both hands. Well then, to be fair, Harry will throw the ball. Hand the memory ball to Harry. Della reminded. Harry, just use the launching spell I gave you a few days ago. Harry nodded, drew his wand, and pointed it at the memory ball. Wadi Vassi. The memory ball instantly flew into the sky far away. The Della family started immediately, and it flew across the sky like a goshawk finding its prey. As for Ron, the start was half a beat slower, and the flight process was not as stable as Della's. But even so, relying on his courage, he slowly caught up with Delacour. Ground. Students from all four colleges are rooting for those they support. Only Hermione frowned. How could they do this? Professor Hooch said that we are not allowed to fly without authorization, and points will be deducted. And it's too dangerous for them to compete like this. What if something happens? Hermione stared at Lucas after she finished speaking, as if she wanted to hear his opinion. Hermione, Della's flying level is not low. Trust him, it's fine. As for Professor Hooch, as long as she lands before she comes back, I think there will be no problem. Hermione rolled her eyes. Although she didn't quite agree, she didn't refute again. It seemed that they had acquiesced in the actions of the three of Harry. At this time, Delaco has caught up to the memory ball. He looked contemptuously at Ron Weasley, who was half a body behind. This competition was too easy for Delacour. He didn't even use his full strength. Sorry, Weasley, I won the contest. Delaco reached for the memory ball. Just when his fingertips touched the sphere, the broom suddenly lost control and began to fly left and right. Turned out to be, Ron saw that he was about to lose the contest. In desperation, he slammed into the tail of Della's broom. By the time Del Lake got the broom steady again, he was a long way behind Ron. Della's complexion turned ruthless. Immediately rode a broom and chased after him. The two collided with each other in the air. In the end, no one was pleased and instead smashed Neville's memory ball. Shit, Weasley, you scumbag. Forget it. Malfoy, who doesn't know that everyone in your family is Death Eater. So you shouldn't pretend to be a good person here, just like your friend. It looks disgusting. Weasley, say it again. Let me tell you, you and your family are Death Eaters, and your friend is an evil dark wizard. I read in the newspaper that maybe you did it. A hole. Delaco drew his wand and pointed it at Ron Weasley. Seeing this, Harry hurriedly stood between the two of them. If you have something to say, let's go down first. Harry, get out of the way. Weasley must apologize to me and my friends today, Della said seriously, without waiting for Harry to continue persuading. Ron said, apologize? What I said is the truth. Why should I apologize? Della looked ruthless and pointed at Ron with his wand. Damn out. Sage. 040. Ron, the Black Hand, the crazy reduction of college points. Della's faintness is learned from Lucas, because the study time is still short. So the effect is not very strong. And it wasn't Ron Weasley that Della was targeting either. Being a Slytherin, he clearly knew the consequences of using the spell to hit his classmates. So, the stunning spell just hit Ron's broom. The magic attached to the spell made Ron spin several times in the air. Wait until the broom has stabilized. Ron drew his own wand as well. No one knows what spell he used. Everyone saw a red light flying towards Della. Della Branch escaped the spell, though. But the broom was hit by a spell and set on fire. Fire Curse. Lucas took his broom. With a kick of both feet, he flew towards Delaco. Congratulations to the host for completing the new achievement. First flight. Reward, 20 achievement points. At this moment, Della's broom is completely out of control. The speed was even faster than Neville just now. Seeing this, Harry rushed to Della, trying to save him from the broom. Lucas, who arrived a little later, was going to help. Ron on the side taunted, "What? When you saw Malfoy in danger, you came to help immediately?" Sure enough, they are a group of like-minded guys. Ron Weasley, did you cast the fire curse on Della himself? I do not know what you're talking about. Although Ron didn't admit it, his unnatural expression had already betrayed himself. Lucas' finger pointed covertly at the opponent's broom. Then chant the incantation of the confusion spell in a very small voice. When the confusion charm is cast, it has no color and no sound. It can interfere with people or objects silently. The broom under Ron suddenly began to swing wildly. It seems to be planning to throw him off. Do it all. Lucas lowered his body and galloped towards Delaco on his broom. He never thought of himself as a good person. But like other Slytherins, he will never betray his established friendship. Like the sorting hat in the back-to-school song, in Slytherin, you can make the truest friends. So Lucas didn't mind teaching Ron Weasley a lesson. As for whether the other party's life will be in danger, he is not worried. When Lucas passed the tower, just now, it has been noticed that Professor McGonagall is looking in their direction. The performance of sweeping 5 stars was brought to the limit by Lucas. The people on the ground only saw his figure disappear in a flash. Even the fastest eyes can't catch up. Soon, Lucas caught up with the two in front. Seeing him coming, Harry breathed a sigh of relief. Lucas, Della's broom is out of control, and I can't get close at all. Leave it to me. You're going to catch him. With that said, Lucas drew his wand and pointed it at Della's broom. Let loose and let go. The spell hit successfully. The broom flying around immediately stopped. But due to the spell, the magic repulsion of the conflict in the broom was separated. The 5-star sweep in Della's hands temporarily became a common broom. Harry, watching the rapidly falling Della Branch. Harry immediately controlled the broom and chased after him. Finally, he hugged Delaco by the waist before he was about to hit the ground. Lucas raised his eyebrows in midair. He whistled mockingly. Merlin's beard, how dare you do that? Professor McGonagall's angry voice came from the direction of the castle. Looking at Ron, who was still struggling in midair. With a wave of her wand, she turned the opponent's broom into a feather. The strong sense of weightlessness made Ron think he was dead. Unexpectedly, it landed on a super long slide. It's really a clever transfiguration spell. Lucas, who had witnessed everything, couldn't help saying. Ron followed the slide to a place about 3 meters above the ground. Professor McGonagall waved his wand again. Ron let out a cry of pain as he fell to the ground. The sound of bones breaking came clearly to everyone's ears. Learned about the cause and effect from the students of the 4 colleges. He called Harry to his side again and questioned him in detail. Professor McGonagall, who knew the whole process, took Ron's wand in his hand. Flashback to the previous curse. Everyone saw a crimson light blooming in front of Ron's wand. Professor McGonagall's expression immediately became serious. Fade without a trace. Mr. Ron Weasley, I never imagined that one day the students of my academy would cast jinxes on their classmates. And you're only in first grade? You're such a disappointment to me. I'll let Mrs. Molly and Mr. Weasley know about it. Also, 50 points from Gryffindor for your disappointing performance. Ron became anxious when he heard it. He ignored his misplaced arm, standing up and shouting, "It's all Malfoy's fault. He's a damn Death Eater." "Shut up, Mr. Weasley. There are only students in the school. There are no Death Eaters, and Gryffindor will deduct another 50 points for slandering your classmates." This moment, the lion cubs hated the big red-haired fool with his mouth. Professor McGonagall looked at Della and Harry again. "The two of you take charge of the flight without authorization, and 10 points will be deducted from each. Mr. Draco Malfoy, you took the lead in using the spell on your classmates, and I will deduct 20 points from Slytherin." Good guy. In just a few seconds, the Slytherin lost 30 points. In the past 2 days, Lucas didn't earn enough points to deduct. Fortunately, Gryffindor was worse than them, losing 110 points. This has just started, and they have basically lost their qualification for the Academy Cup. Let's thank the great Mr. Ron Weasley. Professor McGonagall looked at Lucas one last time and said, "In recognition of Mr. Grindelwald's life-saving behavior, Slytherin will add 10 points." After saying that, Professor McGonagall took Harry and Ron to the castle. Lucas knows, with this departure, Harry will become the youngest Seeker at Hogwarts. Soon, flying lessons are over. Lucas was just planning to go back to the dormitory to rest. He saw Professor Snape walking towards him with a gloomy face. "Grindelwald, Malfoy, you two come with me." Della Branch trembled all over. He was too familiar with the other party's expression. This is the standard angry look. 041. Halloween is coming, and the crisis is coming. Mr. Malfoy, if you like Gryffindor College, your dean, I can consider making an exception for you to transfer. Dean, I don't want to listen to your explanation. Your recklessness and stupidity are disgusting. Even trolls are 100 times cuter than you. Now, leave my office immediately. I will notify Lucius later. Let your father discipline you. Delacour's face turned pale, probably frightened by Professor Snape's words. Watch him walk out of the office slowly. Lucas sighed. "Dean, you seem to have scared him. Mr. Grindelwald thinks he's fine." "Lucas, was it wrong for him to save people?" Looking at him puzzled, Professor Snape said softly, "Ingenious confusion spell. If you don't check the broom, I'm afraid everyone will be fooled by you. Mr. Grindelwald, do you know what you're doing? You're murdering your own classmates." Snape stared intently at the blonde boy in front of him. The office suddenly became quiet. After a while, Lucas laughed suddenly. "Dean, your joke is not funny at all. You can check my wand. I didn't use any confusion spell." Snort. Snape didn't believe what the other said. The boy in front of him is much more cunning than he imagined. Although Dumbledore had confirmed that Lucas had nothing to do with the German Ministry of Magic incident last night. But Snape's intuition was telling him. The man who destroyed the German Ministry of Magic is the boy in front of him. Mr. Grindelwald, the wizarding world has been put at risk recently because of some confusion caused by certain people. Even those children from wizarding families look frightened, but I didn't see the slightest panic on your face. Why? Aren't you afraid of those who do evil everywhere? Scared? Of course I'm afraid, Lucas replied with a nod. But isn't this Hogwarts? No one will break in here and make trouble, right? I trust the principal and the professors, so I am not afraid. Snape stared at the blue eyes in front of him. It took a long time before he spoke. Let's hope so. Let's talk about another thing. The college Quidditch team is missing a good seeker. Marcus Flinte recommended you to me. Mr. Grindelwald, I don't think you will refuse. Well, Professor Snape, could you please not be so overtly threatening? I saw that the other party just took out Lucas' potion homework. Look at the way the other party looks if he doesn't agree. I'm afraid I'm going to get a T for this assignment. It is my honor to win honor for the Academy Dean. As soon as Lucas finished speaking, he saw an extra "Oh, outstanding" on the parchment. What? Think I'm going to threaten you with grades, Mr. Grindelwald? How could it be? I trust Dean Snape as a person. If there is nothing wrong, I will leave first. Well, don't forget to come to my office for confinement later today. Leaving Professor Snape's office, Lucas breathed a sigh of relief. Unexpectedly, Dumbledore would send Professor Snape to watch him. Think of yourself being treated the same as Voldemort. Lucas shook his head and chuckled a little. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, the little wizards lived in Hogwarts for nearly 2 months. The weather is getting cooler. The little wizards of the 4 colleges also put on thick robes. Wear a scarf that represents your school. Slytherin Dormitory. Lucas stared at the letter in his hand, lost in thought. The German Ministry of Magic has reached an agreement with the British Ministry of Magic. After Halloween, before Christmas will come to England to visit. Nominally access. But anyone with a discerning eye knows that the German Ministry of Magic is here to make trouble. And today is November 1st, which is the annual Halloween. I hope that poor little Quirrell can win a little bit tonight. If I mess up, I will lose my trump card against those people in Germany. Lucas put away the letter. It will be of great use later. System, open my character list. Name, Lucas Grindelwald. Age, 11 years old. Identity, leader of the Saints Investment Group, son of Gellert Grindelwald, freshman at Hogwarts. Bloodline, Void Elf, First Awakening, talent, Void Fisher magic power. 15, common aura level. Charms, 8 transfiguration, for black magic. 9, full level, divination. 3 potions, 2 skills, occlumency level 9, fire shield level 8, illusion curse level 5, killing curse level 9, transformation curse level 4. Magic item, Felicia, achievement points, 19,750. After 2 months of exploration, Lucas got a lot of achievement points. His performance in class was also impeccable. The purpose is to have enough achievement points to participate in the lottery after the Platinum Prize pool opens tonight. Heaven pays off. These 2 months were really not in vain, and he was only a little short of saving 20,000 achievement points. Certainly, because of Lucas' outstanding performance, he has a great reputation among the 4 colleges. He is now the representative of excellent students in everyone's mind. Someone who is destined to become a prefect and student president in the future. Besides, Lucas' magic power has also reached 15, which is stronger than that of an adult wizard and has reached the level of an auror. The biggest gain is the transformation curse. Join Professor McGonagall's Transfiguration Club. Quickly raised his transfiguration spell to level 4. Close the list. Lucas went to the closet to choose what to wear to the dance tonight. At this time, the door of the dormitory was suddenly open from the outside. Lucas, come and see how my dress looks. I've been choosing it for tonight's prom. Mr. Draco Malfoy, has no one ever taught you to knock before entering someone else's room? Looking at Lucas' unfriendly eyes, Draco smirked and exited the room. Boom, boom, boom. Come in. Hey, Lucas, how's my dress? Della family that looks like a peacock. Lucas nodded perfunctorily. I'm going to invite Harry to our dance tonight. How about you? The boy who lived came to Slytherin? I don't think Pansy would be happy if you figured it out. She's been waiting for tonight's dance. What's the deal with Pansy Parkinson? Seeing that the place didn't understand, Lucas shrugged and didn't continue talking. Okay, it's time for the spell class. Quickly change back to the wizard robe. Let's go to class. After saying that, Lucas picked up the wand on the table and walked out. CH 042. Exploration achievements have other mysteries. Gift for twins. Damn it, my application to join the house Quidditch team was rejected again. On the way to the spell classroom, Della waved the application form and grumbled dissatisfiedly. You and Harry are both on the house team. Why can't I? I saw my friend beside me with a look of displeasure. Lucas said helplessly, Didn't I give you an idea a long time ago? Ask your father to sponsor the latest broomstick for the team. Don't mention it. The letter from my father was 6 feet long because of the last flight lesson. Oh, why should I bring this up? It seemed that he remembered the contents of the letter. Della covered his head in pain. So, how dare I ask for so many broomsticks? Don't you dare? You haven't written a letter to your family recently? See, Della Branch nodded. Lucas patted him on the shoulder. This silly boy, who is on Christmas holiday, will probably inevitably be PD off by Lucius Malfoy. Charms classroom. Professor Filius Flitwick is standing on a stack of books giving a lecture. It is said that the professor has goblin blood. That's why I don't grow tall. But the opponent's skill should not be underestimated. You must know that Professor Flitwick is the champion of dueling competitions for 2 consecutive times. Oh, it's good to see you again, gentlemen and ladies. Today we are going to talk about the levitation spell. Wingardim Leviosa. Professor Flitwick flicked his wand lightly. The books beside him were floating in the air. I saw the curious and admiring eyes of the little wizards. The smile on Flitwick's face widened again. Next, I'll find a classmate to demonstrate. Mr. Grindelwald, is that all right? Thank you for this opportunity, Professor. 2 months passed. Professors of various subjects seem to have formed a tacit understanding. Whenever you want to roll call and demonstrate, the first choice is Lucas. This also allowed him to gain a lot of achievement points, which added a lot of points to Slytherin. Wingardim Leviosa, accompanied by the incantation. The books and feathers on everyone's desks were floating in the air. Professor Flitwick yelled in feigned surprise. I even accidentally fell off the book. His actions made the little wizards laugh heartily. This is the Dean of Law, 1 Keluo, Filius Flitwick. A gentle, humorous professor. Oh, perfect levitation spell. 5 points for Slytherin. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the achievement. Perfect levitation curse. Reward. 50 achievement points. Festival bonus. There are still 200 achievement points. Hear the system prompt. Lucas mentally calculated how far away he was from 20,000 achievement points. As long as the troll appears as expected tonight, it shouldn't be a big problem to make up the remaining 200 achievement points. As for why it is not done in other classes, it was because the other subject was History of Magic. Well known. Cuthbert Binns of History of Magic only reads from textbooks. With Lucas' demonstration, the little wizards also started to practice. As Hogwarts explosives expert Mr. Seamus Finnegan lived up to expectations and once again fried practice feathers to pieces. Ron next to him also suffered. Black soot was all over his face. As for why Ron didn't sit with Harry, Lucas turned his head to look at Della and Harry, who were studying the levitation charm together. I don't know if my decision was good or bad. I hope Mr. Lucius Malfoy will not blame him. Soon, it's time for Get Out of Class to end. The little wizards were still full of ideas, and even hoped that the next lesson would be charms. Lucas walked out of the classroom under the eyes of everyone. Coincidentally, I met Miss Hermione Granger, who also finished the class. Lucas, are you still reading in our common room tonight? Oh, joking voices came from all around. Lucas was perhaps the first Slytherin in years to enter the Ravenclaw common room. I'm afraid not today, have you forgotten? There will be a Halloween dance tonight. Oh, look at my memory, Lucas. What kind of clothes do you think I should wear? You look beautiful in anything, so be confident, Miss Hermione. Hear what he said? Hermione relaxed quite a bit. As for Hermione, a Muggle-born child, will she be bullied when she goes to Slytherin? Lucas wasn't worried about that. As long as he is there, others dare not say excessive words. Mostly just no contact. Oh, the handsome little chief actually invited Miss Hermione to the ball. What an enviable friendship. Yes, poor Fred and George. They are very curious about the Slytherin ball. It's a pity that no one invited them. The twins ran out of nowhere. The two spoke one by one, teasing Lucas and Hermione. You talk slowly, I'm going to the restaurant first. The thin-skinned Hermione ran towards the restaurant with her head down. Lucas gave the two of them a reproachful look. Hey, little chief, your eyes are detrimental to your usual elegant image. Okay, well, as an apology, the Weasley twins will present you with a precious gift. Follow the twins to a deserted corner of the castle. The two mysteriously took out a piece of folded old parchment. Lucas immediately perked up. The Marauder's map. He has been waiting for a long time. We secretly took this from Filch's office, and we studied it for a long time before we knew how to use it. Little chief, please keep your eyes open. The next moment will be a miracle. The twins looked at each other, then drew their wands. I solemnly swear that I will do no good, ch. 043. The increasingly mysterious Hogwarts and trolls are coming. Black's ink outlined Hogwarts on the parchment. The Marauder's map is so comprehensive that it even includes a map of the Forbidden Forest. Have to admit, James Potter, they're indeed geniuses. Look, our little chief is stunned. George, it's not his fault. Lucas has never seen such a miraculous thing. Of course, Fred. Not everyone is as stable as you and me. He gave the two of them an elegant look. Lucas solemnly put away the Marauder's map. Fred, George, thank you for the presents. I like them very much. The twins smiled happily. Just like it, the gift will be delivered. Let's go to the restaurant quickly. The delicious food will be robbed if we go late. The two scrambled to the direction of the restaurant. Lucas strolled after him, probably because of the holidays. Today's restaurants are busier than ever. Even the Slytherins were talking a lot louder than usual. Lucas came to La when Kelluo's long table, as usual, sitting next to Hermione under everyone's ambiguous gazes, although already used to it. But Hermione's cheeks were still stained red. Lucas, you kidnapped our little princess from Kelluo. Don't you mean something? Qiu Zhang opened his mouth to tease the two of them, in exchange for a gentle thump from Hermione. However, she did not deny the other party's words. Okay, whatever you want to express, just mention it. Lucas smiled and said to the little wizards of La Wen Kelluo, since always go to La Wen Kelluo common room lately. His relationship with the young eagles is very good. Actually, Lucas initially just wanted to complete the exploration achievement. I didn't expect that there would be so many books in the La Wen Kelluo common room, but it is also strange to say. Lucas has visited Hogwarts Castle all over the past few months, whether it is the teaching area or the library, or the infirmary, or even the fourth-floor corridor guarded by the three-headed dog Lu Wei. Without exception, they all got exploration achievement points. But strange, the four major colleges, except for the achievements of basic exploration, such as the small amount of achievement points given by places such as the common room, the overall exploration progress has not been completed. Slytherin area, Lucas can probably guess why. Because he still lacks the Slytherin Chamber of Secrets. The same problem occurred with Cora when Clow. That's not a description. Ms. Roina La when Correo also built a hidden secret room. So what about the other two giants? Are they also harboring secrets within their academy? Lucas became more and more interested in the castle. It's like decrypting an expedition. As we continue to understand, you will find that this castle still hides many unknown secrets. Soon it was evening. Lucas rubbed his eyes and walked out of the history of magic classroom. It's not that he doesn't want to listen carefully. Cuthbert Binns is just too hypnotizing. Halloween is a very important festival for Westerners. The road to the restaurant was full of laughter and laughter. The little wizards are in groups of 3 or 4, discussing what kind of sumptuous dinner we will have tonight. Inside the restaurant, all the candles that used to float in the air were replaced with pumpkin lanterns, in order to set off the atmosphere of Halloween. The ceiling, which was originally bright with stars and moon, has become cloudy at this moment, and there are rumbling thunders from time to time. On the long tables of the 4 colleges, it has already been filled with rich food. There are countless cakes and candies. Oh, I love Halloween. The little wizards rushed towards the long table cheering. Lucas also came to his place and sat down, looking at the little snakes who were smiling and communicating in low voices. I hope they can smile like this again for a while. Lucas looked at the teacher's table again. He was relieved to find that Quirinus Quirrell was not in his seat. He was really afraid that his butterfly would affect the storyline. Now everything seems to be going according to plan. Praise the powerful plot restoration power. Just when Lucas was about to look away, suddenly, Dumbledore was looking at him. Noticing that he was aware, Dumbledore raised the goblet in his hand as a sign. Lucas, why don't you eat? If you don't hurry up, you won't be able to catch up with the dance later. The Della family is eating in a graceful but fast manner. Lucas raised his eyebrows and looked at the other party, his eyes full of disgust. Just about to give full play to Slytherin's strengths, the Een and Yang PD each other off. The door of the restaurant was suddenly pushed open. Trolls. There are trolls in the basement. Do you know? Professor Quirrell ran in a panic. After finishing speaking, Quirrell rolled his eyes and passed out. The restaurant became very quiet. After a short silence, the little wizards screamed in terror. Troll. Ugly, stupid, and powerful. Because of the high resistance to magic, it is very difficult for ordinary adult wizards to defeat them. The restaurant gradually became chaotic. The little wizards who felt the danger wanted to escape here as soon as possible. The same goes for the little snakes of Slytherin. But compared to people from other colleges, they are a little calmer. But even so, the slightly trembling body still exposed the inner fear of the little snakes. "Calm down," Lucas reassured his classmates. He turned his gaze to the prefect, Gemma Farley, not far away. "Prefect, can we let the senior sisters protect us in the middle?" "No problem, as it should be." After Gemma finished speaking, she looked at the other grade chiefs. Everyone acted quickly. At this time, Dumbledore also stood up and presided over the situation. Under his arrangement, the students of each college returned to the dormitory under the leadership of the prefects in an orderly manner. "Lucas," Qiu Zhang anxiously came to Lucas. "Hermione went to the bathroom just now, and she hasn't come back until now. Is she okay?" Huge gift crab. This damn plot restoration. Lucas handed the team over to Delisection. Immediately ran to the women's bathroom. 044. A big fool with full magic resistance. Hermione threw herself into her arms. First floor of Hogwarts Castle, women's bathroom. Looking at herself in the mirror, Hermione grumbled. "Miss Hermione Granger, look at your figure. You're going to attend Lucas Ball later. So please keep your mouth shut. Blame yourself for a long time." Hermione turned off the sink tap in frustration. Ever since I met Lucas, she found herself worrying about unimportant things all the time. This has never been the case before. "Well," Hermione sighed and turned to go back to the restaurant. "I don't know if it is an illusion." She seemed to feel the ground shaking. "Look at the giant monster that completely blocks the gate." Hermione rubbed her eyes and said in disbelief, "Merlin, how could there be such a thing in school?" Surprised, though. But she didn't just stand there waiting to die. In fact, it's been a long time with Lucas. Hermione was also calmer than before. Damn, Hermione's stunning spell hit the troll successfully, but it just made the other party shake his head. Tisk. Hermione took 2 steps back again, raising her wand to aim at the troll. All petrified, a series of 3 petrification spells only slowed down the troll's movements. Hermione saw her timing and tried to slip away from the troll's feet, but she still underestimated the troll's magic resistance. She had just reached the troll's feet. The opponent has already recovered from the influence of the petrification curse. The troll raised the club and swung it hard at Hermione. The wooden stick rubbed against the air, making a loud whistling sound. Hermione froze in place. On the nick of time, Lucas' voice came from outside the door. "Hermione, hide against the wall." Subconsciously do as Lucas said. Hermione had just approached the wall on the side of the door when she heard the sound of incantations coming from outside. Damn! A blinding red light hit the troll's back. The powerful magic of the spell knocked the troll into the air, causing it to hit the wall inside the bathroom. Due to the huge size of the monster, the wooden cubicles in the bathroom were smashed by it. Lucas. At this moment, Lucas has tens of millions of special effects in Hermione's eyes. Is simply radiant and handsome. Hermione threw herself into the other's arms, calling out the other's name with sobs. "It's all right." Lucas patted Hermione on the back, keeping his eyes on the troll, although the powerful spell knocked the giant monster into the air. But the coma effect is not satisfactory. A few seconds passed, and the troll shook his head and stood up. Maybe Lucas heard it. The troll roared, expressing his anger. "Hermione, I'll deal with the troll first. You get behind me." Be careful. Trolls have extremely high magic resistance, and they are hard to deal with. It's better to wait for the professors to come. See the worry in the girl's eyes. Lucas chuckled and said, "Don't worry. It has strong magic resistance, so I don't need to attack it with magic spells. Wouldn't it be fine?" In Hermione's puzzled eyes, Lucas waved his wand and said, "Quickly imprison." He cast 3 imprisoning spells in a row. 3 thick ropes firmly trapped the troll on the wall. The giant struggled hard for a long time, also just pulling one of the cords out of the wall. Lucas wasn't going to give it all a chance to break free. The wand waved lightly. The broken wood on the ground was suspended in the air. Lucas cast the transfiguration charm on the wood again. In an instant, There were many sharp weapons such as swords, guns, and halberds in the bathroom. Magic resistance is full. I hope your rough-skinned and thick-skinned appearance can block it a few more times. Lucas' eyes froze after he finished speaking. The wand pointed at the troll and said, "All bullets!" Swords and halberds floating in midair. Breaking through the air, he roared and flew towards the giant monster. Lucas reached out and covered Hermione's eyes. The sensible girl didn't struggle. The sound of knives and axes chopping reached her ears, making the girl's body tremble. Merlin's smelly socks. What the hell is going on, Mr. Lucas? There was the sound of chaotic footsteps behind him. Professor McGonagall looked at Lucas and Hermione first. Seeing that the two of them were safe and sound, they were relieved. Immediately afterwards, she saw the tragic death of the troll. "Oh, Merlin, the troll is dead? You made Lucas." "Sorry, Professor. Hermione was in danger at the time, and the common spell was useless against the troll. I could only use the transfiguration spell against it. I seem to be a bit harsher." Lucas looked at the professors apologetically. Looking at the dead troll, Snape narrowed his eyes and looked at Lucas meaningfully. "Can defeat trolls that even adult wizards of the common cannot defeat." Lucas looked suspicious again in his eyes, especially after knowing that the savior classmate has a good relationship with Lucas. Snape valued Lucas even more than Quirrell. "It's not your fault, dear. On the contrary, your transfiguration spell is eye-opening." As a professor of transfiguration, Minerva McGonagall saw the essence of those swords and halberds at a glance. "Mr. Lucas Grindelwald, I give 10 points to Slytherin for bravely facing the troll and rescuing your comrades." "Thank you very much, Professor. Congratulations to the host for completing the new achievement, Troll Killer. Reward: 300 achievement points, festival bonus, Troll Snot." Ding! The limited platinum prize pool for Halloween is open. This prize pool will last until 12 midnight. Host, please spend as much as you want. The professors stay to clean up the mess. Lucas sent Hermione back to the La Winkelluo dormitory. Wait for him to return to Slytherin. Found everyone gathered in the common room. "Lucas, are you okay? I heard you encountered a troll," Della asked worriedly. When everyone saw him coming back, they immediately surrounded him. Lucas shook his head, seeing that everyone was wearing wizard robes. He asked curiously, "What's the matter? Is the dance closed?" Hearing his question, the faces of Delacour and others immediately became ugly. "CH 045? Lucas, Della, please use your strengths and find Dad." It was found that the faces of several people were not right. Lucas turned to look at the others again. "I saw that everyone in the lounge looked unhappy. The dance was canceled?" "That's not true." Sophomore principal Eli McMillan replied. "It's just that something like this happened, and everyone is not interested." As soon as Eli finished speaking, Della continued. "The prefect just informed that no student is allowed to leave the dormitory of their college without authorization tonight. In other words, none of the friends we invited to the dance can come. So who is interested in attending the dance?" Della's tone was full of complaints. Only then did Lucas understand why everyone looked unhappy. He heard that someone had been preparing for this dance for more than a month, but now the invited person can't come. Really disappointing. Lucas came to sit on the sofa in the middle of the lounge. Delacour and others also sat around him. Others surrounded several people in the middle. "Don't be depressed, everyone. We will live in Hogwarts for several years in the future. The ball can be held at any time, isn't it?" Lucas had just finished speaking. Pansy Parkinson's haughty voice came from his side. "Although what you said is correct, our preparations for so many days can't be in vain, right? For today, I asked my family to send all the most beautiful and expensive dresses." As Pensy's good sister, Daphne Greengrass nodded quickly. "That's right. I wrote letters to show off in front of my sister for a long time. Now I'm going to be laughed at by that little girl. Except for the two of them. Others more or less have some reasons of their own." Lucas seems to have become the object of everyone's confidence. "Wait until all the complaints are over." He smiled and said, "There's nothing we can do about it, and we can't reason with idiots like trolls. The professors are also thinking about our safety. What if there's another one outside? Let's wait for the professors to deal with everything before talking about the dance." "There's another one? Merlin, What is Dumbledore doing? Why are there trolls in the school? Della, divine grade, Malfoy said in disbelief. Did he use Hogwarts as a playground for monsters? It's too much. Della, calm down, to appease the other party's emotions. Lucas looked at everyone curiously. Such a big incident happened. Have you sent a letter to your family to report that you are safe? She and the others blinked and shook their heads neatly. Della frowned slightly and said, "Why do you tell your family about such a small matter?" Wow, our Della family has finally grown up and stopped looking for Daddy. Faced with Lucas teasing, Della became furious. But before he could speak, Lucas continued, "But you should find Dad this time, shouldn't you?" See Lucas' meaningful eyes. Della Branch frowned. Obviously, Lucas's words have other meanings. As a Slytherin, even if he is always mixed with lions, it can't change the Slytherin characteristics of Delaco. He just thought for a moment before he understood what Lucas meant. Not only him, the other little snakes also suddenly realized. Everyone looked at each other and immediately got up and went back to the room to write letters to their families. Lucas smiled, got up, and said to the rest, "Tomorrow is our first Quidditch match of the semester with Gryffindor. Everyone rest early." After saying that, he walked to his dormitory. Make sure Lucas is gone. Several other grade chiefs got together. Sophomore chief, Eli McMillan, was the first to ask, "What do you guys think?" Payne Travers said with great interest, "It seems that our elementary school brother is planning something. As his seniors and sisters, we should help. I'm going to let the guys in the 6th grade recall the things they used to do when they were young and write to Dad to complain." After finishing speaking, Payne walked into the boys' dormitory. Several other people looked at each other and smiled, and soon left the common room. Lucas returned to the room and immediately locked the door. Throw your whole body on the soft bed. He looked at the virtual platinum prize pool in front of him and said, "System, use all my achievement points to draw the platinum prize pool. It is detected that the host has a total of 20,100 achievement points. The platinum prize pool is 200 achievements once, and a total of 100 lottery draws." Are you sure about the lottery draw? Yes. The voice just fell. A dazzling light appeared in front of Lucas' eyes. Due to too many draws, he couldn't even open his eyes from the brilliance of the rewards at all levels. Fortunately, it will all be over soon. Immediately afterwards, a system beep sounded in Lucas' ear. The lottery draw is over, and this lottery draw has won 44 bronze rewards, 33 silver rewards, 18 gold rewards, and 4 platinum rewards. Because there are too many rewards, the system will integrate and display duplicate rewards for you. Bronze rewards received this time: 15 pieces of golden galleons, total amount 1420, 3 Halloween limited wizard hats, 8 kinds of Honeydukes candies, 1 popular game console, 6 trendy men's wizard robes, Rue Essence 3 bottles, Mandela Grass 7 beads, a handful of Browning M 1911, CH 046. Another step towards the strongest dark wizard, the Quirrell in the principal's office. Silver rewards for this lottery: Household Magic, level 1, 3. Cleanup, level 1, 6. Level 3. Flying Sand and Walking Rocks, level 3. Invulnerability to Fire and Water, level 1, 9. Transformation Master's Practice Experience. Light Will 2000 modified. Gold rewards for this lucky draw: Talent Points 2, 3. Fire Shield, level 7, 3. Cruciatus Curse, level 6. Cruciatus Curse, level 5, 3. Imperius Curse, level 7, 4. Veritaserum 2. Magic Weave Embroidery 1. Felicia 1. Platinum rewards for this lottery: Talent Eye of Foresight. Item Mirror Crystal. Ancient Elven Magic Soul Devouring, level 1. Item Talent Breakthrough Card. 0 total rewards. Just looking at it is already dazzling. Putting the low-level rewards aside, Lucas first looked at the 4 platinum rewards. Eye of Foresight, upgradable, can predict the future 10 seconds later. Compared with those wizards who know divination, the ability to predict for 10 seconds doesn't seem to be very useful. But if it is used in battle, it will be different. Always anticipating the enemy's opportunity is a very terrifying ability. The eyes were cool for a while, and the Eye of Prediction successfully completed the fusion. Mirror Crystal, This item can 100% replicate a fake. The copy counterfeit has only 10% of the power of the original item, and this prop cannot be used for human reproduction. Look at the transparent rhombic crystal in your hand. Lucas looked thoughtfully. The appearance of this prop gave him a little idea about the Sorcerer's Stone. Keep the mirror crystal in a safe place. Lucas looked at the remaining 2 rewards. Soul Devour. Level 1 devour the target's soul power with elf magic power and condense it into purple crystals for storage, which can be used to increase the strength and magic power of one's own soul. See this introduction. Lucas always felt that this didn't seem like the kind of magic an elf would use. It's more like a spell used by demons. But, knowing this magic, he seems to have a way to deal with Mr. Nose. The last talent breakthrough card is a good thing. It can awaken talents that are already at full level, breaking through the upper limit of human talents. Apply this precious breakthrough card to your dark arts talents. Immediately, there is a sound of chains breaking in Lucas' ear. There's also a sense of relaxation in the body. Check out the platinum rewards. Lucas said as he looked at the densely packed list of rewards left. System, assign 6 talent points to 1 point for charms, 1 point for divination, 2 points for potions, and 2 points for transfiguration. As for other spells, they should be synthesized and learned. There was a flash of light. Hundreds of rewards disappeared instantly. System, open the character list. Name, Lucas Grindelwald. Age, 11 years old. Identity, leader of the Saints Investment Group, son of Gellert Grindelwald, freshman at Hogwarts. Bloodline, Void Elf, First Awakening, talents. Void Fisher, I have Foresight magic power. 15, common aura level. Charms, 9, full level. Transfiguration, 6 black magic, 10 awakened divination, 4 potions. For elven magic, Soul Eater, level 1 skills. Occlumency, level 9. Fire Shield, level 9. Illusion Curse, level 5. Killing Curse, level 9. Transformation Curse, level 5. Cruciatus Curse, level 7. Imperius Curse, level 9. Repair, as before, level 4. Iron Armor Curse, level 6. Thunderbolt Explosion, level 3. Flying Sands and Rocks, level 3. Water and Fire Invulnerability, level 3. Household Magic, level 2. Cleanup, level 3. Legilimency, level 4. Magic Items, Felix Elixir 2, Veritaserum 2, Magic Weave Embroidery. Achievement Points, 100. System, what does the awakening after the black magic talent mean? And can I continue to add some black magic talent? Answer to the host. Awakening means that the host can use any black magic to cast spells silently, and the power of black magic is increased by 20%. Every 2 talent points can increase 1 point of black magic talent, and the upper limit of black magic talent is changed to 15. Lucas let out a long breath. The improvement this time is really not small. Several kinds of black magic have entered the advanced stage. Even the Imperius Curse and the Fire Shield have reached the full level. Lucas took out the Nimbus 2000, modified, and the Magic Pattern Embroidery. The Magic Pattern Embroidery can be attached to the surface of the clothes, resisting a fatal attack, including the Killing Curse. This thing is actually not that useful to Lucas. Mainly, it is a disposable item. As for the Nimbus 2000, modified, I can test its performance in tomorrow's Quidditch match. Principal Room. Dumbledore turned his back to Snape. The atmosphere between the two was tense. There was also a smell of gunpowder in the air. Headmaster Dumbledore, what are you doing? Are you deliberately allowing Quirrell to unleash the troll? Severus, listen to me. Is there a reason why I have to do this? Snape stared at the other with a hungry look on his face. Oh, let me guess. Maybe you want Harry Potter to defeat the troll? To remind everyone that he is the savior. But Mr. Headmaster Harry Potter, like his father, is just an idiot. He hasn't been able to use decent spells until now. Why do you think that stupid little lion cub can't make things worse? Faced with such acute problems, Dumbledore was silent for a while before replying. Isn't it good now? The troll has been dealt with, and the students have not suffered any casualties. Oh yes, thanks to Mr. Grindelwald, the kid you've been watching out for. Severus Snape is worthy of being the king of snakes in Slytherin. Even with Dumbledore, he was merciless. Seeing that Dumbledore was silent, Snape took a bottle of potion from under his baggy robes and placed it on the table. It's a potion for teeth. It's disappointing. Why hasn't your mind been filled with those sweets? I'm more interested in brewing a potion for your sweet, greasy brain. Another reminder, I'm afraid the Ministry of Magic will know about today's events soon. Mr. Principal should make preparations early. Dumbledore put away the potion and said as he watched the figure walking out of the office, "Thank you, Severus. You're as trustworthy as ever. I've said it many times, don't mention it to me, Dumbledore." The voice just fell. Snape had disappeared from the headmaster's room. Looking at the potion in his hand, Dumbledore's eyes flickered, and no one knew what he was planning. Ch. 047, Lucius Malfoy surprise. The next day, it was sunny and sunny, although there were some episodes yesterday. But one night passed, and the little wizards had come out of their fear. Today is the Quidditch match between the Slytherins and Gryffindor House. The two colleges are rivals. The intensity and excitement of the Quidditch competition far exceeds that of the other two colleges. As the sun shines on the Quidditch pitch, the little wizards came to the auditorium together. I really don't understand why so many people like the sport of Quidditch. Hermione grumbled in her seat. In her opinion, Quidditch is a very brutal sport. Of course, with her friend by her side, she couldn't say that. Qiu Zhang comforted with a smile. "Honey, you only need to watch it once. I guarantee you will like this sport. Besides, your knight is also participating today. If it wasn't for Lucas, I wouldn't be here in the cold." Hermione looked down the aisle where the players came out, waiting for the person in my heart to appear. At the same time, a figure entered Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Witchcraft with graceful steps. The visitor was dressed in a splendid black wizard robe. Her long platinum hair was neatly placed behind her head. A more domineering demeanor than Draco Malfoy showed the other party's identity. Lucius Malfoy, Draco's father, one of the 28 sacred families, the current head of the Malfoy family, one of the 12 trustees of Hogwarts. Lucius holds a cane with a silver snake's head. He stared contemptuously at everything around him. Anyone who is familiar with him knows it. Lucius is cunning, dangerous, and good at hiding his clumsiness. He even hides his wand in his cane. Principal room. Dumbledore took off his glasses and rubbed his forehead. Although a little tired, he decided to watch a Quidditch match. Today was the first time Harry played for Gryffindor. Dumbledore wanted to see the other side win. He believed that Harry would also like to see himself in the audience. Dumbledore stepped out from behind the desk. With just a casual wave of his hand, the documents on the table were automatically placed where they should be. The powerful wandless, silent magic demonstrates the strength of this great wizard. Boom! The two-headed stone beast suddenly left its position. Then footsteps came from below. "Professor Dumbledore, someone wants to see you." Professor McGonagall walked quickly into the headmaster's office. "Oh, Minerva, what about another day? You know, I have more important things to do right now." "Really?" Headmaster Dumbledore's important thing is to watch the Quidditch match. Lucius Malfoy's voice came from the bottom of the stairs. Seeing that arrogant figure and contemptuous eyes, Dumbledore's expression turned serious. "Minerva, you go to the stadium first. I'll be there later." Professor McGonagall glanced between the two. Knowing that it was useless for me to stay here, I happily walked out of the principal's office. Since Professor McGonagall left, the two people in the principal's room seemed to have been cast with a tongue-locking curse. They both seemed to be waiting for the other to speak. Malfoy knocked on the round table, and a cup of steaming black tea appeared immediately. Dumbledore, on the other hand, was eating sizzling bee candy with a very enjoyable expression on his face. Time passed by every minute and every second. Looking at Malfoy's leisurely look, Dumbledore was the first to throw in the towel. "Lucius, did you make a special trip to see me, a widowed old man, today?" "That's right," Malfoy said, putting down his teacup. This answer made Dumbledore's heart sink. Don't wait for him to continue asking. Just listen to Lucius Malfoy speaking in an obnoxious tone. "I heard that some bad things happened at school last night. I don't know if it's true, Headmaster Dumbledore." "Indeed, but everything has been resolved. It's just a small problem." Oh, maybe for you trolls are indeed a small problem, But for little wizards who are still in school, trolls are very dangerous. Malfoy cast a contemptuous glance at Dumbledore. And creatures like trolls shouldn't be in the Forbidden Forest? Why did they come out of the Forbidden Forest and into the school without hindrance? I need an explanation, Dumbledore. Dumbledore looked into Malfoy's eyes. It seems that he hopes that the other party can see the sincerity in his eyes. Trust me, Lucius, it was just an accident. Accident? I'm sorry, Headmaster Dumbledore. And my colleagues in the school council think you are getting more and more confused. For such an irresponsible behavior, as the principal, you should take full responsibility. Lucius Malfoy produced a rolled parchment from inside his robes. This is the school board suspension order for you. It has the signatures of 12 school board members. We agree that you should take a good rest. As for when the position of principal can be restored, we will discuss it later. Dumbledore rarely looked surprised. Suspension order? You can't do this, Lucius. He opened the parchment and looked at the signatures of the 12 school managers on it, and said in disbelief, CH 048. The contest between the snake and the lion. Lucas' request to everyone. Sorry, Lucius, I can't leave school yet. To hear Dumbledore refuse to enforce the suspension. Malfoy sneered, Dumbledore, I'm not here to discuss with you this time, but to inform you. Don't forget, although I and the 12 school managers are not involved in the internal affairs of Hogwarts. However, we do have the power to expel people from Hogwarts, and I mean anyone, including you, Dumbledore. Dumbledore frowned. He cannot leave school at this time, not to mention the big trouble with Quirrell inside. Even his test for Harry Potter wasn't done yet. If you're suspended at this time, it has an impact on many of Dumbledore's subsequent plans. As Harry's first year back in the wizarding world, whether the image of the Savior Boy can be erected, the next plan is critical. Undeniable. Dumbledore is great. He gave his love to the whole wizarding world. He's smart, mature, and powerful. He counted everyone, including the boy who lived. But such calculations are not for himself. This is one of the reasons why Dumbledore is not hated. He calculated everyone, but tried his best to protect everyone. Even before dying, make arrangements for the future. Dumbledore took another look at the suspension in his hand and said, Lucius, can this suspension be executed a few days later? I only need a few days. I'm very sorry, Dumbledore, but you will have to leave school tomorrow at the latest. Of course, you can still exercise the principal's authority today. Malfoy stood up and straightened his gorgeous robes. He took the cane aside and extended an invitation to Dumbledore. Today seems to be the Quidditch match between Slytherin and Gryffindor. Headmaster Dumbledore, why don't you go and see it together? I still remember when I was in school, every Quidditch match was so exciting. Dumbledore put away the suspension. Frowning, he followed Malfoy out of the principal's office. In fact, he already had a rough guess in his mind. It should be that the Slytherin students wrote home last night, explaining the troll invasion. You must know that the 12 school managers are all ancient pureblood families, and most of their brood are in Slytherin. Quidditch pitch. Listen to the cheers and shouts from outside. Lucas sighed inwardly. To be honest, he wasn't interested in Quidditch. Riding on a broom seemed silly at first. The second is feeling that the sport is not fair at all. How can a seeker end a game just by catching the gold snitch? And a gold snitch has 150 points. 10 points are scored for one quaffle. It's so unfair. If your team seeker ability is relatively weak, doesn't that mean you have to throw at least 15 quaffles before the opponent catches the gold snitch? This is still in the case of the opposing team scoring no points. Too difficult. Thought that winning should be rewarded with achievement points. Lucas only silently disliked this sport in his heart. But preparations are not slow at all. There is still some time before the game starts. Looking at the eager players, Lucas coughed lightly and said, Seniors, before the competition, I have a few words to say to everyone. Everyone stopped talking and looked at the blonde boy standing in the front. Even though I'm only a first year, I really want to win this for Slytherin, not just for defeating Gryffindor. I want to win the Quidditch championship, get the house points that belong to the champion, let the emeralds fill the hourglass that belongs to us Slytherin, and win the final house cup. Speaking of the Academy Cup, the team members showed unprecedented ambition in their eyes. The Academy Cup represents glory. Since 1985, Slytherin has won the Academy Cup for 6 consecutive years. But this time is different. Because Gryffindor has the famous Harry Potter, it wasn't so much that the Slytherins were trying to win the House Cup. Rather, it's trying to defeat Gryffindor, who has the boy who lived. Lucas looked around at the crowd, taking in all their expressions. So, to avoid losing your tongue, please change your previous behavior and show our Slytherin elegance to everyone. Please also trust me. I will definitely get the gold snitch first. After hearing what Lucas said, everyone looked at the Captain Marcus Flinte. This captain who looks like an orangutan. He grinned after hearing what Lucas said. Of course we believe in you. Don't worry. We will definitely silence those guys this time. The other players followed suit. They couldn't really think of Lucas as a freshman. At this time, the voice of Lee Jordan narrated from the court. Accompanied by his sentence, the players entered the field, and the door of the passage opened with a bang, led by Lucas and Marcus. The Slytherin team flew out of the tunnel quickly. There was a huge cheer from the stadium. The usually restrained Slytherins also raised their banners at this moment. In his mouth, he kept shouting to the players in the sky. The Slytherin players formed a cone. Led by Lucas, they went around the field to signal to the audience. When passing by the stands of family members and faculty members, Lucas saw Lucius Malfoy's position at a glance. At the same time, Malfoy also nodded slightly to the flying blonde boy. His eyes then looked elsewhere. Lucas smiled slightly upon seeing this. It seemed that Mr. Malfoy had settled the matter. This moment, our headmaster Dumbledore must be very distressed, right? CH 049, the curse attacks. Why am I also implicated? The two teams appeared one after another. In the end, 14 people from the two teams formed a circle. Players on both sides stared closely at their opponents. Gryffindor Captain Oliver Wood was seen staring at himself. Marcus grinned and said, "Wood, you can rest assured that I won't knock you out today." Huh. Wood snorted coldly, obviously not believing what the other party said. Professor Hooch came to the middle of the field. In the box in front of her were 3 kinds of balls used in Quidditch matches. The focus of today's game is on the seekers of both teams. Lucas was Slytherin Seeker, and his opponent is the famous Harry Potter. The two are the influential figures of the school, and they all made an exception to join the Quidditch team in the first grade, especially attracting people's attention. Comparison has never stopped. Professor Hooch clearly understands this too, so she didn't intend to procrastinate. With Professor Hooch kicking the lid of the wooden box, the bludger and gold snitch fly into the sky at the same time. The gold snitch flickered before Lucas and Harry's eyes, then disappeared in the blink of an eye. Professor Hooch took out the quaffle again. As the whistle sounded, she threw the quaffle into the sky with all her might. This means that the whole game has officially started. Immediately, there were deafening cheers from all around. Lucas lifted the broom lightly, immediately flew to the heights. The advantage of this is that it does not interfere with the actions of other players. Second, gold snitches are easier to spot at high altitudes. Harry followed suit and followed to the high altitude. Oh, it's Slytherin team, Captain Marcus Flynn. Tay, who has the ball now? Merlin. He looks like a gorilla. Okay, the quaffle got snatched by Angelina. The girl from Gryffindor, beautiful, brave, absolutely mesmerizing. Lee Jordan's unfair commentary draws a glare from Professor McGonagall. Lee sneered to show his attention. It can be explained that at critical moments, Slytherin will always be belittled. It also made the Slytherin students very unhappy. Shit, who can make that guy shut his mouth? Della looked dissatisfied at the high platform in the distance. That's where the commentary is. Damn it, I really want to jinx him. Hey guys, leave that guy alone and cheer for Lucas. Slytherin is not the only one who hates Lee Jordan's commentary at the moment. The other two colleges were equally critical. Hermione looked at the commentary booth and said dissatisfiedly, "How can this guy say that? My dear, you have to learn to get used to it." In fact, Lee Jordan always only said good things about Gryffindor when he was commenting. After Qiu Zhang finished speaking, he turned his head and looked at Lucas in the sky. I really didn't expect Mr. Lucas to know how to play Quidditch. I just don't know how good he is. Hermione looked at her friend warily. She didn't forget what the other party had said. What Cho Chang likes is someone who can play Quidditch and beat him. Unfortunately, Lucas joined the Quidditch team. What's more, Cho Chang is also on Crow's team. Most unfortunately, both are Seekers. Hermione suddenly hated Lucas excellent. If only he could be more ordinary. Look, the gold snitch has appeared. Accompanied by Lee Jordan shouted. The audience in the stands immediately focused their attention on the two Seekers. Lucas first saw a golden light flashing in the distance, just when he was about to go after him. Harry beside him suddenly swayed wildly. Lucas knew it was Quirrell who was casting a spell on Harry's broom. I'm sorry, Harry. It looks like I'm going to take this victory. Lucas understood very well the principle of taking advantage of his illness to kill him. But as soon as he flew a distance of 50 meters, the broom under his seat began to shake violently. Merlin, why would I be implicated even when I'm fine? Too late to think about it. Lucas immediately counterspelled the broom. At the same time, Lucius Malfoy in the stands also watched Lucas' broom and helped with the counter curse. Merlin's beard and the brooms of the Seekers of the two teams are crazy. It is understood that they're using the latest Nimbus 2000 produced by Nimbus. Could it be that this broom has some unknown hidden dangers? Lee Jordan immediately raised the issue to the broom manufacturer. Originally, he wanted to continue talking. Unfortunately, it was stopped by Professor McGonagall. Certainly, if it weren't for Lucas not caring about it at the moment, he would have given Lee Jordan a tongue-locking curse. You must know that Lucas is a shareholder of Lightwheel Company. If it is because of Lee Jordan's words that affect the sales of brooms, he has the heart to kill the other party. Auditorium. Find Lucas in danger. Hermione immediately borrowed a classmate's telescope. Taking a cursory look around, she saw Snape, who was also helping Harry with the counter curse. It's Professor Snape. He's casting the curse. Qiu Zhang looked puzzled, although Professor Snape always had a gloomy face. But as a professor, he shouldn't cast a curse on his students. Besides, Lucas was a student at his own academy. Hermione didn't care about that. He took his friend's hand and walked towards Snape's stand. The Della family also found the same situation at this time. He hesitated for a moment. He glanced at Lucas and Harry, who were about to be thrown off the broom high in the sky. He also set off and walked over. Delacoe and Hermione met behind the stands. Needless to say, both of them understood what the other was here for. Under the joint efforts of the two, Snape's robes were set on fire, as in the book. During the riot, Quirrell's curse was also forced to stop. Seeing Harry turn over and jump onto the broom, the audience in the stands cheered immediately. But Hermione et al. Soon found out. Lucas still seems to be under the influence of the curse. CH 050. Dumbledore's name has been added to Lucas' notebook. Lucas concentrated on the counter curse until Harry managed to get out of danger. His broom stopped shaking. Lucas rolled over and jumped onto the broom. Cheers like a tsunami erupted from all around, thanks to the contacts Lucas has maintained over the months. Except Slytherins. Many people from the other three academies are also cheering for him. But Lucas didn't look happy. There are only a few people on the court who can cast a curse on him. First there was Snape, but he was obviously not going to harm the students of his house. Followed by Professor McGonagall and Professor Flitwick. But both are the kind of people who are just and fair. Wouldn't curse Lucas just for a Quidditch win or loss. So, there's only one person left. Headmaster, Mr. Dumbledore. Although Lucas doesn't quite believe the answer. But the counter curse that could make him have no effect at all. Only the mighty Dumbledore could do it. Although I don't know why the other party did this. Perhaps suspecting that he had put a jinx on Harry? Or don't want to win the game yourself. In short, Dumbledore's name was on Lucas' little notebook. Sooner or later, the other party will have to return it. As for why Quirrell isn't in doubt, not that Lucas looked down on him. With his current smell of garlic, I am afraid that his body has already decayed. How much magic power is left is unknown, but it is certainly not as good as before. Now, looking at Harry, who was flying fast ahead, Lucas hunched over the broom. No one could stop him from earning achievement points. Not even Mr. Savior. The Nimbus 2000 transformed by the system turned into a streamer in the sky. chasing Harry and the gold snitch at a speed that was hard to tell with the naked eye. This modified Nimbus 2000 has a top speed of 400 kilometers per hour. It is a full 100 kilometers per hour faster than the broom Harry is using now. In theory, Lucas's current Nimbus 2000, modified, can already be compared with the Firebolt produced 2 years later. Everyone saw the green streamer representing Slytherin quickly approaching Harry. Even when it completed the transcendence, it was still tumbling and spinning in a circle. This made the little wizards in the auditorium even more excited. The audience chanted Lucas' name, as if he had caught the gold snitch at the moment. Of course, Harry wasn't reconciled, desperately urging his broom, but watching Lucas's back getting farther and farther away. He also gradually became depressed in his heart. Lucas looked back over his shoulder. Looking at Harry, who was catching up, he smiled. Then it increased the flying speed of the broom. This time, he's even faster than the gold snitch. When Lucas passed the gold snitch, he held it easily in his palm. Match over. Let's congratulate Slytherin's seeker, Lucas Grindelwald, for catching the gold snitch and ending the match. Don't be discouraged, ladies and gentlemen of Gryffindor. Next time you will surely defeat the nasty Slytherin. Lee Jordan. Professor McGonagall's voice came again. Lee Jordan dropped the microphone and ran off the stands. In the sky, the Slytherin team surrounded Lucas. Look at the gold snitch in his hand. The smiles on everyone's faces were extremely bright. Lucas, it's great that you beat the boy who lived. Gryffindor has Harry Potter, and we have Lucas Grindelwald. Marcus Flint's already ugly face. This smile looked even more terrifying. But at the moment, no one pays attention to these. Everyone is celebrating. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a new achievement. The contest between the snake and the lion. Reward, 200 achievement points. Ding, a new series of achievements has been detected. King of Slytherin. Please ask the host to help the college win the Quidditch Championship and win the College Cup with the highest college score in history. You must score O in all subjects in the end-of-semester exam to complete this task series achievements. Note, this series of achievements is unique. No matter whether it is completed or not, it will not be opened in the future. Complete this series of achievements, you will get a chance to draw a diamond prize pool. Please host. See Diamond Sweepstakes. Lucas' eyes lit up. Compared with the other two series of achievements, this one is undoubtedly easier to complete. Take the current house points of Slytherin College. If he works harder, it will not be difficult to create the highest score in history. Just be careful to watch out for the old bee to add points indiscriminately at the end. At the end of this semester, you might be able to get a chance to win a mysterious diamond lottery. The celebration is over. Lucas landed on the field with the broom. Harry came to his side at this moment. Congratulations, Lucas. We will try again next time. Lucas smiled and nodded, vaguely giving an ambiguous answer. Wait until next year. Harry's opponent is probably about to be replaced by Della Branch. On the way back to the dormitory, Della looked enviously at the broom in Lucas' hand. When will I be selected? I really envy you and Harry. Lucas threw the broom to the opponent. You will be the seeker next year, and I will only participate in this semester. Della was taken aback. Soon his expression became a little moved. House Quidditch teams have a fixed number of players. Della believes that Lucas quit voluntarily in order to let himself be selected. Have to say, what a wonderful misunderstanding. Lucas just felt that since the series of achievements would not be triggered again in the future, then it wouldn't be much fun to play on the House Quidditch team. As for the 600 achievement points brought by winning, Lucas didn't have to. Certainly, the system doesn't stipulate that Lucas must play, does he? He found that the Quidditch teams of the 4 colleges did not seem to have the position of coach. The next day, Lucas left the Slytherin dormitory early. He came to the door of the principal's office on the 8th floor and said to the two-headed stone beast, "Lemon Shoeabow?" Boom! The two-headed stone beast jumped aside, revealing the stairs behind it. Next, time to see how our poor headmaster Dumbledore is doing. 051. Ask Dumbledore for help? It should be said to help each other. Hogwarts headmaster's office. Dumbledore was staring blankly at everything around him. He is not taking pictures. It's about thinking about what to do next. He wasn't ready for Harry's final showdown with Quirrell. If you ask Snape to help, and afraid that Quirrell would take the opportunity to do something they didn't know. And Snape was going to be watching two people now. There is simply no time for anything else. How about asking Minerva McGonagall to help? Dumbledore shook his head quickly, dismissing the idea. Professor McGonagall is a man of integrity. She will never agree. Just when Dumbledore was at his wit's end, Lucas' voice came from downstairs. Headmaster Dumbledore, may I come in? Dumbledore adjusted his mood and said, Of course, Lucas. I'm glad you came to see me. It was still the round table where the two talked last time. There are still many sweets on the table. Seeing this, Lucas took out some candies from the lottery. Principal, do you want to try? Compare with the previous attitude. Lucas was obviously much weaker this time around. This made Dumbledore very curious. What the hell happened? Can make this mature boy become like this? Oh, heaps of roaches, my favorite snack. After Dumbledore finished speaking, he threw a lifelike cockroach into his mouth. Lucas, what's the matter this time? Yes, Professor, I need your help. Lucas took out the letter he received on Halloween. I saved this letter at that time, just for this moment. See the contents of the letter. Even Dumbledore couldn't help frowning. Oh, Minister Orwell seems to have gotten carried away with rage. Mr. Principal, Minister Orwell is coming to visit. He said he is visiting England, but everyone can see that he is looking for trouble. Dumbledore nodded approvingly, but stopped talking. It took a while. He returned the letter to Lucas and said, I remember you grew up in Austria. Who has taken care of you all these years? Lucas first showed a puzzled expression. It seemed strange why Dumbledore was asking this question. It's Vita Rothier, Aunt. How does Mr. Principal know her? Of course, Vita Rothier, the thorny rose of France, was a charming, proud, and powerful witch. Since you're an old friend of Vita, Aunt, it's time to... Not waiting for Lucas to finish speaking, Dumbledore shook his head regretfully. Lucas, I'm very sorry. In fact, yesterday was my last day as head teacher. I've been suspended and have to leave school today. Merlin, how could they do this? Lucas looked at the friendly old man in surprise. You are the greatest wizard of this century. They can't be so unreasonable. Thank you for speaking up, Lucas. I actually think so too. Dumbledore sighed when he finished. This time he was not pretending, but really felt helpless. He was planning to find some old friends after he left school. I hope that my suspension order can be revoked as soon as possible. Sorry, Lucas. I'm afraid I can't help you with this, but I will tell Minerva. At least you won't be taken away easily. This is Hogwarts, and you are a student of Hogwarts. Don't worry. Of course, Lucas couldn't rest assured. What he needed was the intimidation of Dumbledore. See Dumbledore put on his wizard hat and prepare to leave. Lucas suddenly said, Mr. Principal, maybe I can solve your suspension order. Dumbledore stopped walking and looked at the boy sitting on the sofa in surprise. Maybe he was afraid that he didn't hear clearly. The boy said again, You know, although my family is full of elderly people, the advantage of the elderly is that they know more people. And I'm planning to do business with the Malfoy family recently. Maybe I can ask the Malfoy family to help. When Lucas finished speaking, Dumbledore was back in his seat. Seeing that Lucas has become completely different from before, Dumbledore understood everything. Letters from Slytherin students, suspension orders early the next morning. Behind all these things is the shadow of the blonde boy in front of him. This conversation is also a transaction, a deal that Dumbledore had no reason to refuse. Dumbledore took out a box of sizzling bees and handed it over. Want to try it? Of course, Mr. Principal. Lucas took a candy and put it in his mouth. The sweet and greasy feeling immediately filled the whole mouth. Well, it's so sweet. The next day, Dumbledore looked at the headmaster's appointment letter on the desk with unprecedented seriousness in his eyes. Slap, slap. Principal Dumbledore, Director Barty Crouch of the Department of International Magic Exchange and Cooperation of the Ministry of Magic, led Minister Orwell of the German Ministry of Magic to visit the school. Minister Orwell said he wanted to talk to you about something. Do you have time now? Dumbledore took a deep breath, put the letter of appointment on the table into the drawer. Bring them in, Minerva. As soon as the words fell, the sound of chaotic footsteps came from under the spiral staircase. CH 052. Anger from Centenarians. Looking at the few people who walked into the office, Dumbledore had a warm smile on his face. Mr. Crouch, I haven't seen you for a long time. Oh, Merlin and Minister Orwell, nice to meet you. Several people greeted each other. Dumbledore led everyone to the sofa. Look at the table full of sweets and sweets. Orwell, the minister of the German Ministry of Magic, was at a loss for a moment. In fact, Dumbledore is more famous in Germany and France than in England. Grindelwald was mainly active in these two countries. So for the wizards of both countries, Dumbledore was like Harry's place in the wizarding world of England. It is the savior, the person who helps them escape from the sea of suffering. Orwell also lived through that era. It's just that he was young at the time, but that didn't stop him from adoring Dumbledore. Besides, Dumbledore also avenged his dead big brother. Dang, Headmaster Dumbledore, long time no see. Seeing Orwell's nervous look, there was a gleam in Dumbledore's glasses-shaded eyes. Mr. Orwell, Mr. Crouch, do you want to try the delicious pile of cockroaches? Principal Dumbledore, we are here. Crouch kicked Orwell's shoe hard, interrupting what the other party was about to say. Barty Crouch, director of the Department of International Magical Communication and Cooperation of the Ministry of Magic. If you feel that he is incompetent because the position he holds is not important, that would be a big mistake. In fact, Barty Crouch was once a serious contender for Minister of Magic. If it wasn't for his son being suddenly exposed as a Death Eater, the current Minister of Magic will most likely be this man with a mustache. Principal Dumbledore, Minister Orwell came all the way to England, and the first stop was to visit Hogwarts. After all, this can be called the greatest magic school, and it also has a great headmaster. Thanks to the compliment, I will personally take a few of you to visit the school. No need. Crouch stopped. I have taken Minister Orwell to visit. Minister Orwell is full of praise for the teaching environment of Hogwarts. Right, Minister Orwell? The sudden question made Orwell a little overwhelmed. He froze for a few seconds before nodding. Yes, Director Crouch is right. After saying that, he looked at Barty Crouch suspiciously. I don't understand what the other party is doing in such a big circle. According to him, it is better to go directly to the topic. Crouch gave the other party a calm look. As someone who deals with Dumbledore a lot, Crouch is well aware of the temper of the other party's love of students. If he directly enters the topic, not everyone can bear the anger of this centenarian. Maybe some of them will be thrown out of Hogwarts. Dumbledore was also happy to relax. He didn't say a word about the purpose of the other party's visit, not even a mention of the German Ministry of Magic. As if I didn't know it. Several people chatted about some endless topics around the round table. Orwell brought up Lucas several times, but Dumbledore cleverly diverted the topic. Oh, Merlin, is it this late already? Looking at the afterglow of the setting sun outside the window, Dumbledore blamed himself. It didn't affect everyone, right? When you're old, you forget everything when you're happy talking. It's really bad. Crouch shook his head with a wry smile. He kind of experienced Dumbledore's difficulty again. Not only Orwell, but he also mentioned it many times during the chat. But they were all dodged by Dumbledore pretending to be stupid. Crouch looked at Orwell beside him again. The other party's face was livid at this time, and his face was full of displeasure. Ahem. Crouch cleared his throat. Principal Dumbledore, we are actually here for one of your students. Student? There are many little wizards in Hogwarts. Who are you talking about? Lucas Grindelwald. Does Mr. Principal know him? Dumbledore looked up out the window. Seems to be trying to remember the name. Oh, come to think of it, Slytherin's little guy. Very excellent. What's wrong with him? Crouch looked at Orwell beside him, beckoning him to speak quickly. Principal Dumbledore, I'm here this time to bring Lucas Grindelwald back for some questioning. Orwell speaks well. He didn't directly say that Lucas was going to be arrested. Instead, please go back to the interrogation, Dumbledore asked calmly after hearing this. Did he make any mistakes? We suspect he may have had something to do with the previous upheaval at the Ministry. As soon as Orwell finished speaking, he heard Dumbledore's laughter from the opposite side. Mr. Orwell, Lucas is only an 11-year-old child, and he was on a night tour in Hogwarts Castle on the night of the accident. His head, Professor Snape, nearly deducted points from his house when he caught him. Sorry, but without sufficient evidence, I cannot hand over an underage child to you. Orwell stood up abruptly looking down at Dumbledore. You shouldn't have taken him into school. Headmaster Dumbledore, I respect you, but I know Lucas Grindelwald better than you do. That 11-year-old kid is more terrifying than his father, and the voodoo party will rise again in his hands. Orwell's face was ferocious, obviously extremely angry. Dumbledore sighed. Orwell, I know Shino's death has hit you hard, but you can't blame a child for everything. Child? I never regarded him as a child. His surname is Grindelwald. How could the successor cultivated by that man be a kind person? He, like his father, is an evil man and deserves to be in prison. Grindelwald. Dumbledore repeated the last name in a low voice. Could it be that—
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.